I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy. Think that it was meant to be. Living in a time.
Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Tactical Awareness. I'm Ash. And today I'm joined by Owen and Dan for another faction breakdown. This is Season 1, Episode 29, and we are tackling Imperial Service. Some considered mighty, others considered villainous. They are one of the original, actually they are the original Sectorial for Yu Jing, and feature some of the, I guess, OG different profiles that were a bit strange and unusual of their time, but of course they haven't changed quite a bit in the last few years. So let's catch up with Owen and Dan, see what they got going on, and get this faction breakdown underway. You feel good about that?
He thought that he was good. He didn't expect skews, which I thought was wild. I'm like, how do you not expect this? This has been the nature of the game for 20 years.
The new edition of any game devolves into skews immediately, because that's the obvious stuff that sticks up. Speaking of skews, hey everybody, it's time for another episode of Tactical Awareness.
Yay!
And we're doing Imperial Service. We've made it to the bottom of the sectorials for Yu Jing.
In all manners.
In every respect.
Dude, I love Imperial Service.
For Imperial Service. I love Imperial Service too. They are saddled with, thematically though, some of the most dated profiles, which we are going to talk about. Specifically, the one that comes after Authorized Bounty Hunter. Now that I've ordered things the same way as Owen. So for those of you who haven't been listening to the series, we are breaking down all of the Yu Jing sectorials from newest to oldest, followed by Vanilla Yu Jing. Owen and Dan have been getting ready for a tournament on Sunday. Saturday. I think you got a tournament. Oh, this one's on Saturday. That's right. And then the 40k tournament you're going to is on Sunday. So everybody's been switching their brain back and forth between new 40k and.
Thankfully, I don't use my brain for Infinity.
It's like good police. Was it a good police officer? There's no way to do anything, Rabbit. Disregard that, Rabbit. And I actually got to play 2 games of Infinity this week. I played one against Jordan and one against Chris, who is a new local Infinity player. I got to play with my O12, some new units to make Dan jealous. I tried the Sarko and the Sucky Droid. And then I took my what's that?
Nothing. I said
He said nothing.
Okay. Yeah, nothing was said.
And then I took my Corregidor against Jordan, against his Acon, and I had to play against all the greatest Acon hits with like double Montessas and a Drago, which was a whole lot of Infinity. But it was fun. We can recap that later though. And we also had some news this week because they did the most recent studio update and did like a roadmap for the new book and some of the reinforcement stuff too. Which
Can I just say that I just love listening to Carlos. He could speak for hours.
He is the most upbeat human being. He's just like calmly positive.
He needs a raise, and then whoever hired him needs a raise.
I think everyone agrees that Carlos is an unsung hero of this whole endeavor. He's a little like who would you say? Oh, and I'm going to ask you this question. Who would you say in Lord of the Rings was the character that held everybody together that wasn't Sam? Because forget Sam. Bill the Pony. He's Bill the Pony.
They abandoned Bill the Pony early.
I know, but he held them all together. They sent Bill home.
Mines are no place for a pony.
Listen, you don't take him to the Mines of Moria, man. They knew exactly what was going to happen down there. It was bad news.
They could have found Balrog.
He's like
Gandalf could have survived.
I was gonna say he's like Donnie Wahlberg in Band of Brothers. He keeps everybody going.
That's where we're at right now.
That's
what Infinity is. We're in
Bastogne. We're in Bastogne. We're waiting to get out of Bastogne.
Yeah.
I think maybe
the state of Infinity.
This game, this particular faction might be, yes.
They get 2 Harrises.
They do get 2 Harrises. Yeah, they get what QK used to get. Take that, QK.
I wish there weren't 3 other factions that got this.
Yeah. What did you guys think of the studio update? We saw that there are a bunch of old factions getting glow ups, right? So like we already knew that Merovingians were going to be one of the rapid response forces, but we also saw a couple of the other ones. The some new troops, Sectorial, I think with the Jujak, all of the Korean shock troops are being, I think, enhanced for the.
I don't think it's gonna be a new sectorial.
I think they said it was new Sectorial and also like the reinforcements, or it might just be that those were the units being released for them for reinforcements, or their
I think they're just the reinforcement ones. They're going to be new models, and they're going to be fleshing out the Korean line. But
Gotcha.
I don't think they're going to be a new sectorial.
Gotcha.
I do know that somebody said there were going to be extras.
Yes, and I was saving that for the end. Yeah, the extras are coming back too. There was, what was the other faction I was looking at? It was Varuna was going to get new units too, because they're the immediate reaction division, right? They're also a fly in and reinforce faction. So I think the new units that are available for reinforcements might be part of Varuna, or like be Varuna themed, which I thought was cool as well. Maybe we'll get a plastic cutter, Owen. And then you'll play Verna. What's that?
Wait, is there? I almost bought a cutter.
There's a new metal cutter. There's the Code One metal one.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
It's the last generation of metal ones.
That actually uses a cutter in it.
Cutter's so good.
It was another double tag list.
Cutter double squallow.
No, it's a cutter squallow. Nice. One of those like
I knew it was something like that. Yeah.
Nobody would reasonably expect that when you have a squallow on the board with like a bunch of hidden points in a Varuna list, that it would be a cutter that walks.
And it just decloaks and it's a cutter. That's right.
It's like, yeah, he's probably got like some like Zulus or like some kind of like TO infiltrator, like that's what it's gonna be. And then it's like, I use my tack-aware order to move this size 7 camel marker. What?
Yeah, that's a very Deep Space Nine moment where the Enterprise shows up to fight something, and then as the Enterprise is fighting, the Defiant just decloaks next to them and just destroys everything. It was very, very like you don't see this coming kind of a tactic for sure. But that is a commitment of like 180 points to 2 models.
I have never watched Star Trek.
Well, if you're gonna watch any Star Trek, that's
not true.
Or just watch Deep Space Nine because it's the best.
Originally, I was gonna say I never watched Star Wars, and I just misspoke.
You think Deep Space Nine's the best one?
Oh, by far. Far. I like TNG.
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine is the best captain and the best story.
Kirk is the best captain. Everyone knows that.
Kirk is a captain.
In all fairness, of all of the Star Treks that exist, the one I have watched the most of is the original series.
Awesome, perfect. No notes. It's a great show.
And I don't remember.
It's only like 11 episodes or something too, like or 18 episodes or something like that. It's like one season.
Other than the fact that it was the only thing that played at some particular time in my childhood.
Yes.
And so I sat there watching Space and watching reruns of Star Trek episodes.
Perfect. Genius.
It was like, I got home from school. Dragon Ball Z's not on yet.
Yeah, that's right. YTV isn't showing anything except for this.
Yeah, I watched the Starship Troopers animated series.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah,
I have all the miniatures for that animated series.
Where it was like made by the people, or at least it looked like by the people who made Reboot. And you're like,
exactly. It was like
I'm gonna watch Starship Troopers. Yeah. Welcome to 5 a.m. or p.m. or something. I don't remember when it happened.
5 p.m. on YTV in Ontario, Canada, in the late 90s. Yeah, that's perfect. So with that, I guess diversion. What was the other new stuff? Was extra, which I think is cool to bring them back. I'll be excited to see the bug units. I really hope they do the Cascuda. I really hope they do a reinforcement tag. How cool!
Drop explosion's bad though.
I mean, when drop explosion extends off a 55mm base, it's gonna be real good.
It's still a template.
Is it? I thought it was a. Oh man,
No,
I thought it was like a
the
range
template.
off the thing. Oh, that's right. Maybe it used to be. No, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's just a template, but still, maybe it gets an enhanced explosion. Maybe it gets explosion damn 16.
Explosive.
Yes, you have 3 dice.
Just make it damage 12, but make it an explosion.
Make it explosive. It's true.
Oh my!
I mean,
Explosion on the
yeah.
explosion.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is like having an asteroid hurtle from the sky.
I dropped a mech on him.
Yeah.
I bet you could find a good anime.
Prepare for Titanfall is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's gonna be really exciting. I'm stoked to see what the actual like groupings are. Um, and we were talking earlier because we were talking about 40k off mic before we started this, and just like how builds at the beginning of an edition like rise to the top, and so, like obvious mechanical like combinations always are like the most prevalent, but I really have faith in like large systems chaos kind of keeping some kind of balances, like checks and balances like emerge. I'm excited for reinforcements because it's going to cause that same kind of stir up, I think, in Infinity. I like that kind of I like that transitional period where people are figuring out how it affects things more broadly. Like I'm excited for that chaos and I'm excited for how it's going to shake things up.
I think Infinity is still just resilient to these things based on the nature of its mechanics.
Yeah, and sharing so much across factions, like just like equipment wise and skills wise and stuff.
Yeah, I do think there's an issue with skill bloat right now as time has gone on, but that's fine.
Definitely, yeah. Well, I think we had that conversation with Darfos.
Yeah,
how Darfos are in two camps. They're either really good and pay for it, or they're really cheap and don't do much. Like versus they're like generic equivalents, or they're in this midfield where they just have a weird combo of stuff and they're not very great.
Yeah, and that's sort of like I don't know.
And there's some equipment that just shouldn't even cost points.
like you buy
like a biometric visor. Exactly. Yeah. Let's pay points for this thing that affects 2 classes of models in the entire game.
Yeah. When I was like first playing Blue Coats and I was like, biometric visor, these guys are so cool.
That's got to be cool.
Biometric visor, these guys are what the hell?
If biometric visor gave you a
realize that they do nothing.
Yeah. If biometric visor though gave you a free Discover +3, I'd be into that. Right. If it was just Discover +3, like forget the biometric visor, but the biometric visor skill was just give you plus your Discover checks, I'd be fine with that. That'd be totally fine.
Biometric visors, everybody who has a biometric visor has a +3 Discover.
Well, then there you go. Then that maybe justifies how trash biometric visors are. They are not very good. I was playing Jordan this week and we realized that Tusser lost his MSV2. He went down to MSV1, but he gained biometric visor, and it's like, why even bother? As if this hidden deployment guy is going to spot a random Fade and then shoot him from 40 inches away with his Fearbach. This makes no sense. Yeah, no, I think I agree with you, and I think that the systems are inherently complex enough that they're very resilient to that kind of stuff. So let's jump in and do some Imperial Service.
We have mailbag.
Oh, mailbag. Shoot, right. Mailbag. I gotta bring that up. 3 questions from the mailbag. Pulling it up. All right, so we're gonna do the same format for the mailbag as previous. We're gonna ask 3 questions, a maximum of 1 per individual. And I'm gonna start with the ones we hadn't gotten to in the previous episode. So we'll start with a question for everybody. It's from Me the Best, and it's how would you build a Gecko Harris list? I'm assuming that's in Corregidor, as that's where you get a Gecko Harris. And a Gecko
I got this.
I know you do. I was going to let you have it. I was just going to describe what the Gecko is. The Gecko is a Stingray size, so let's just say like size 6 tag. They are armed with a variety of like kind of up close brawler guns, so like multi-marksman rifle, Mark 12, chain rifles, and Blitzens. And there's 2 profiles, one with the multi-marksman +1 burst. It's like a burst 4. It's like a baby multi-HMG with like a short range. And then the Mark 12. And the Mark 12 one's cheaper and less SOGC. So what about you on how would you do this if you could? Oh, and also who can go into the Harris? The Gecko team can be.
I'm assuming the way I did it was just Geckos. Like, yeah, every one of the FTOs.
The wildcards can go too. Well, all the wildcards, because so you can put in a Cyclone, a Vostok, a Wildcat, which could be like an engineer. There's
Massacre, Gromaz, like Lupe,
Jazz.
Yeah.
And you're never, because it's only a Harris, you're never worried about that composition bonus anyway. So you can freely dip one of these guys in if it's worthwhile. Like the Wildcat hacker is cool, or the engineer is cool because you can fix these guys.
Don't worry, I made a really bad list. It's dog water. I wouldn't recommend it. But anyway, so we've got Gecko Mark 12, Gecko Mark 12, Gecko Mark 12. That's our Harris. Then we have Diablo Light Shotgun, Diablo Light Shotgun, Diablo Light Shotgun, Diablo Light Shotgun, Lobo Boarding Shotgun. That's your core team.
So it's criminals, robots, and 1 cop watching them.
And then a Wildcat Lieutenant, McMurder, and the Evo Hacker in Group 2.
So you can fairy dust who? The
The
geckos?
geckos.
Yeah. Okay,
To get
fair
them
enough.
BTS9.
Yeah. That is
Um,
legit unhackable.
Turn 1, you spend 2 orders running your Diablos up across the board. And then you break the link and just let them impetuous on the following turns. And then you use the geckos for the rest of the game. Will you win? No. Can you do scenario? No. The only way to do it is if your geckos climb out of their tags and push buttons.
I mean,
I got 3 specialists. What are you talking about?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's the only way. But if you got
an
hold
Evo
zones,
hacker that's hiding in a bush somewhere.
if you've got to hold zones or kill people, you can do it.
This Harris is 163 points. So it will
Mine was 103 because the Mark 12s are the cheap ones.
Oh, that's right. You took Mark 12. That's right.
Yeah.
I would push back for a bunch of reasons. The Mark 12 Gecko is cheaper. Yes. But it cannot fight up. It can only fight down. And that's because the Mark 12, although it's relatively high damage, it'll be burst 4. It cannot break armor. So if these guys have to fight anything that's armored or other tags, they are going to really struggle. They're incredibly resilient. They're actually surprisingly good at point blank range with +1 burst assault pistols. They have a burst 6 gun when they're in short range, I'm pretty sure, because it's assault pistol is 3. 4.5.
I would say that the damage 17 pushes you high enough that you can go after the armor.
Even tags and cover. Oh, because they're +2 damage, aren't they?
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
So like it's true, the multi-marksman is kind of better, but I think you could still do it. I think enough, and you're throwing so many bullets downrange that like, yeah, he's got like a 8+ armor save with his armor of 10. I'll get there.
You're not as good an arrow, right? Because you can't fire double action rounds. You can't crack armor. You don't have Panzerfausts. I think for the half WC and 10 points for 2 of them, I'd take that. And then I would always have, because these guys can get smoked out, they need some kind of point defense. I would always have a Wildcat engineer with them.
Yeah,
he's got a light flamethrower.
Diablos are for.
Well, no, but he comes with them. So now they can push buttons. It cheapens the Harris. And he's got MSV1 and a deactivator, decharges, and a gizmo kit, right? So he can actually shoot into these guys to fix them if he has to, although it's only Phys 11, but they're resilient typically. And the whatchamacallit, the flamethrower with the MSV means they can't be snuck up on through smoke because he'll flame whatever comes near you. So it's a nice combo. I like your all aggression with the other stuff, but I think that Harris, 2 multi-marksman rifles and the Wildcat engineer is probably a little more versatile, and then you can add more standard things to the list. Like you could add like a Aguasil link or something like that with Jazz in it if you want to hack her. Looking at a Vader point man, you could add
100%. You could make a good list.
Yeah. I'm just saying the Gecko Harris in general, because it's cheap enough, it's 140 points.
Ask us how we would build it or how we would build a good list.
He said, how would you run geckos? Like build a Gecko Harris list. And I'd say I would start with those ingredients and then add a more generic list. Like I would add my double Morans because I would always have the Morans for them advance up under. I'd add the Evo baggage bot, right? So I could fairy dust them and then also reload my Morans. Probably a missile bot, because then I could drop missiles on things that I can't deal with up close and have some like range threat and some arrow threat, and then Jazz and like a cheap link. McMurrow, transductors, the usual stuff.
I remember making this list because I started with the idea of I want to make 3 geckos, but then I realized how much I like the Diablos, and I kind of lost the plot because I'm like, wait. I could do a coordinated trench hammer throw. That's the funniest shit ever.
I want to throw all the hammers at you guys.
We throw 5 DA hammers at you.
Yeah.
Dodge it.
Can you duck? If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a trench hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'd be where I'd start. I'd start with that Harris. I think that Harris has a lot of legs. And then add in a more traditional sort of like framework after that, because you can still have McMurrow too. You can still have all the thing with Corregidor is all of its like best pieces are so cheap. Whatever your hitting block is can kind of just sit on top of it, right? Because McMurrow double Moran is what 34, 61 points for those 3 like key pieces. Jazz is another, I think, 22. So you're getting a real affordable core here, and then you can just layer on things like cheap Aguasils to make the Harris to give Jazz 6 cents, or sorry,
Yeah.
the course you can get 6 cents, all that good stuff.
I think if you're gonna run Gecko Links, I think you should bring probably 2 of them in your Harris,
definitely.
and then a support piece.
Yeah.
I'm
There's
back
so
and
many
forth
options.
on whether it's Valyria or Jazz. I think Valyria. I think she'd be the one I'd pick.
She's good.
Because of her picture being linked. And also if you're concerned about enemy like heavy armor, her regular hacking device is great. And she also can total control if they have a tag, which is just be great. You have 2 tags of your own, and you get a third.
I really like the whatchamacallit. I really like the 4-man giving Jazz
6 cents.
6 cents. Especially if you're gonna have Moran. So I just find it's really important that they have that. You can even fit in Carlotta if you want to. Get some deployment zone dropping, because Carlotta's amazing. Deployment zone, breaker combi, light flamethrower, clang plus, all that good stuff.
Yes.
And then she can go and fix them. If you've lost your engineer, you can send Moriarty down one side and she can come down the other.
Look,
Push buttons.
these are my thoughts on. I decide to trust Owen. It's just completely and utterly. He's never sent me down the wrong
So
path.
just skew as hard as you can.
Just trust in Owen.
Trust the process. You sir need to be deprogrammed.
He's just in here lying again.
He's just in here. That's right. Yeah. You desperately need deprogramming. I'm into it. I like what you're saying.
Come in here and tell lies.
That's right. Yeah. You come in here and talk like this
Who
on the
would
day
just
of my
go on
daughter's
the
wedding.
internet and lie to people?
That's right. Who would do that? Who does it for money? Monsters. That's who.
I do it for free.
For free. That's right. We'll argue with anyone about anything. Yeah. So here's what I came out. I had Gecko, 2 Gecko marksmans. Although I guess I could cheapen this slightly and take the Gecko Mark 12 and do 1 of each. 1 of each Geckos, Wildcat, Harris, and then Moran, Jazz FTO, Aguasil, Ford Observer, Lieutenant, Dactary, so they can be a 4-man, so she can have 6 cents. Carlotta with Moriarty, and then Transductor, Vertigo, and the Salute, and you're at 299 and 5.5. And you've got 14 orders, lots of attack aware, missile threat, all that good stuff. That's what I do.
That's probably better.
What's even better about it is I am 2 Geckos and a Carlotta away from just running that list if I want to. So I'm going to save that and be like, maybe Ash Battle Report. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
And see if I can play me the best list. All right, and then the next episode for Owen from Colonel Spawns. If Sunduck Butt had total AVA, how many would you take if you could take as many as you want, not just 2? I mean, they're 50 points each.
Yeah, it's still probably 2.
Yeah.
In all fairness, like I don't know why you like. I mean, would I bring more? At least once, just to try it. But I think 2 is enough.
I think 3 would drain all the other cool disruptive shit that actually makes 2 so obnoxious. I think you're right. I think there's diminishing returns.
Also, as amazing as the Sunduck Butt is, he of course is in the challenge where he's fighting against basically like the who's who of other optimal pieces. Like especially in Baram, where it's like Sunduck Butt's really cool, but Fides are also really cool, and McMurrow's also really cool. And Asawiras are also really cool, and Yera's also really cool, and Barids are really cool, and like there's a long list of people that he's already like, is this even better? Like as great as it is, and as much as it's just straight up 1-me games by its existence, there's so many other people in there that I think are like right on his heels. If you put Sunduck Butts with infinite AVA and like Pano, I think it'd be a totally different story. You could probably go crazy over there and still get away with it, or Ariadna for that matter. Could you imagine if you had unlimited Sunduck butts in like Wallace's
With
list?
Galwegians.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
watch this, everybody. I solved all of my problems.
Well, I think that's a good point though, is the nature of Sonic Butt requires you to have aggressive pieces to chase stuff into them. Right? Because they're not.
You could play the active Sunduck butts.
I mean,
like,
definitely you could, but like the way you played them with two,
Yeah.
you're using them as reactive pieces, and with the aggressive other pieces included in the list, you're forcing these engagements that are suboptimal, and playing shell games because you have all these, like, you lose out all the other pieces that optimizes Sunduck Butt once you have, I think, more than two.
Yeah, losing my my 40 points of Delamis who are just around, because like those 8-point Delami infiltrating Panzerfaust guys, they're what make the Sunduck butts really good. Like the Sunduck butt's solid on his own, but the fact that you can never be sure is like so much. Not never mind the fact that I know it has decoy, but like this is decoy +1. Like every 8 points is another decoy, and also it's good at every range band.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
yeah.
Haha, I've snuck up on your Sunduck butt with my insert guy who had stealth, and the Sunduck butt didn't deal with him. And you go to walk around the corner, and you're like, shotgun template. Sorry. It's great. So yeah, I'd still only bring two.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times I think you should only bring one, or you go the other direction, like I did at Carbonite, where my main list had 2 Sunduck butts, but my alt list had 2 Delamis who pretended to be a Sunduck butt by sitting in where it could advance deploy and within 8 inches of each other.
You have such good bully instincts where you're like, if I abuse people with these 2 Sunduck butts and then switch to the list, everyone's going to think these guys are Sunduck butts.
Oh, you go further than that, where you talk about how good it is all event.
Yeah,
you talk to the people, and then
the
you end up
mind
playing
games
somebody.
that you play at events like this, you're really showing your whole ass, man. Really taking the face off and eating the mouse that's in your desk, like in V. Your lizard face is showing when you do this.
The best part is like the guy I played, who I only did it once because I used the Sunduck list most of the day. But actually, no, that's not true. I did it twice because I did it to the other Baram guy where he thought it was a Sunduck butt and he didn't want to face it. And then the Delami jumped out and Panzerfaust him. The other guy, like, he spent 2 of his 3 turns unwilling to move up with his Asura. No, not Asura. Until the last moment when he's like, I've got no other choice. I have to send it. He walks around the corner and it's like, I shoot a shotgun at you. Made me laugh.
PSTSD, you're giving people, man, post-sonic but traumatic distress, whatever. Yeah, fantastic.
That's my answer to Sunduck butts. Bring 2.
I would agree. Yeah, I think I'm with you.
This is what I have to deal with. I'm like playing with Owen. We've been playing for like 12 years together, and I'm just like, we're playing like another game. It's like, oh, so you want to go first, right? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't want to go first. No, there's no possible way I would ever want to go first. But he just doesn't. He never stops.
If we were the Goonies, Owen would be Mouth and you would be Chunk. And he would just be abusing you all the time. It's terrible.
That first turn thing is the funniest, like, fastest turnaround moment I think we've ever had as an interaction with somebody. Where we set up and he deployed, and I'm like, so do you want to go first then? Or like I deployed my models or something like that. Or no, he deployed first. How the fuck did that work, Dan? Like, I know it was stupid, but my brain
if he won initiative, or if he won initiative and chose to go first,
we were playing Song of Ice and Fire.
Oh yes,
I caught you. I caught you on the. You always try to make me to go first with Infinity.
Yes, I say that.
Or
to
no,
everybody.
you're trying to make me go second or whatever.
Yeah. Did you want to go second?
whatever inoptimal thing you always try to suggest.
Yeah,
Owen is that riddle of the 2 men by a door, and one of them always lies, and one of them always tells the truth, except they're both always lying.
See, be wrong. They're not always. Because like if you're only ever giving bad advice, it doesn't work. So you sometimes tell your opponent, like, yeah, this is what it probably is,
and then they don't believe you,
and then they stare at you, and you're like, I warned you.
That's what I mean, though. It doesn't matter, because either way you're giving them a stress response that they will then fall back on later. I get your long game here, man. You definitely go.
He doesn't even think about it. It's like breathing to him.
You can't help it. You can't turn it off. All right.
Also
Raven Strike 2009. This is a question for everybody. He said, hey, I'm looking to start playing vanilla nomads, but I'm unsure what to get first. I have the Crimson Stone starter set, but I'm unsure what to pick up next, since it's also cool. Suggestions of what you would use most often. So I'll jump into that one because I've been playing nomads all season. And I actually started my nomad army based on Crimson Stone. My recommendation would be remotes. Remotes and Morans. If you're going to be playing vanilla, both of those things are available to you. And no matter what faction of nomads you might explore in the future, the basic, like you have all the basic ingredients in that Crimson Stone box, because you have Aguaseals, you have a intruder, I believe you have a evader, and there's one more thing you have in there that I can't remember what it is, but you have all the core components basically. I think it's either the Sombra or it's a Tomcat in one of those. So the remotes, because you want something that can support your advance. Remotes are real good this season too with the 4 observer remotes. I get 2 boxes of remotes and then probably Morans. I think they're only AVA 1, but you could definitely use the second one as another of the many thousands of infiltrating. I mean, there's so many infiltrators. There's so many like skirmishers basically in nomads. If you're playing vanilla, you have access to a bunch of them. But Moran Messiahs are, let me just double check. Nope, still AVA 2, so you can still use them both, and they are brain-meltingly good against most players. So with the contents of Crimson Stone, I think you've got what? What did I say? You've got 3 Aguaseals. You've got a sweet evader. So let's say you take a hacker, a paramedic, and an FO. You've got an invader, and I think a Sombra. The evader is a medium infantry, he said, question mark. And you also get intruder HMG, who is great. Evader and a Sombra, I think it is. Let me just double check. This Crimson Stone's a great box.
Kind of funny. I would say Nomads is probably the list for the faction that I've played against the most out of any faction, and played them a little while when I played Tunguska.
You did, yeah.
But for the life of me, outside of the few models that I liked in Tunguska, I don't know what the hell anything in Nomads does.
Yeah.
Every time I play them, it's like cat person, robot, car, hacker. What is that one again? Okay.
The one that does the thing.
Sweet.
Oh, you get a Hellcat. That's what you get. Shoot it.
What's this shtick that your faction does? We can hack real good. Okay, I don't wear pants, so I'll be fine.
I mean, even if you don't, I think the thing with Nomads is even if you don't have like a lot of hackable troops, spotlights and missiles are a cure for everything. And having a turn 0 hacker net means you can spotlight stuff on their turn and then drop missiles on it later on.
That's why you use suicide motorized bounty hunters and / peace hunters and kill them all.
You sure do, if you have access to those things. So yeah, so you have 184 points out of that box, so that's crazy. Crimson Stone's 3 Aguaseals, an intruder, a Sombra, an evader, and a Hellcat. And that means if you get yourself some remotes, so let's say you get 2 boxes of remotes, and build 2 transductors, a Vertigo, and a Stempler. And then you've got all the greatest hits there. The transductors are cheap repeaters that will generate you orders and will extend your hacking net. The Vertigo is the missile launcher for when you are hacking. You've got a bunch of hackers in here because the Sombra can be a killer hacker, the Aguaseal can be a hacker, and the Hellcat can be a hacker. I think the Hellcat model actually is a hacker. The Stempler is an objective and also a repeater. And also in this season, really good. We'll see if that stays that way, but for now, no reason not to have it. So 2 boxes of remotes, and then your Morans, who are just always good because they add crazy koalas into every fight, and they start off with crazy koalas on the board. You are looking at,
that's it. I just got a Moran like an hour ago.
They're so good. Oh, did you get that in that big lot of stuff that you picked up?
Yeah, along with
Nice.
a lot of Merovingian models.
Cool.
So I guess I can play that when it gets changed.
Perfect. You're looking at 261 points with those 2 boxes, the Moran box and the whatchamacallit, and the Crimson Stone, and the 2 boxes of remotes. So one more model, basically, like one more big model. Any of the character models, and you've got 300 points. You get a whole army. But I'd say that those are probably the meat and potatoes, and then it's insert thing you like if you're playing vanilla Nomads. You could add in any of the character blisters, You have access to Zoe and Pywell, who are amazing. You have
Kriza
access
Borak.
to
He's so cool.
Kriza
looking.
Borak. Yeah, you can take the Kriza, who's even good by himself. Mary Problems is fantastic. Jazz and Billy are great. Carlotta is great, although she comes in a box. Kriza Borak's a blister, though, isn't he? Heavy infantry?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's also there's the 3 guy, like one of the expansion packs comes with Kriza.
And you can take the Mark 12, so it's 0 SWC, which is really nice. And that would let you just drop something if you wanted, because he's tons of points. he's huge. You could drop the, I don't know, let's say one of the Agua Seals or something like that, and you've got over 300 points. Now you got some choices.
That's it.
There you
comes
go.
with an Intruder, Kriza, and Hellcat.
Perfect.
If I recall.
And the Crease is great. So yeah, that'd be my suggestion. I think that if you're going to add on a Crimson Stone, which is a great box, you can't really go wrong with any of those choices. You'll always use remotes. I mean, they're basically the salt and pepper on the steak, and then the big cool piece like the Crizzle or the Crease is like the sizzle. So that'd be my advice.
He's also good if you're not playing a Link, because he's just such a solid on his own fighter.
Yeah,
he can fight a lot of people with a +1 burst HMG and mimetism.
Agreed.
He's like, I can do it without help.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a good solo gunfighter to go scalpel stuff out, and that's what you're looking for in in the vanilla faction. Yeah, when you're not playing with fire teams. Sweet, we did it. We got through another mailbag, and we still have questions left. So we can do this for at least one more week. But if you haven't asked a question, check out the video description. There'll be a link. Go add your question into ND Empty Cell. And we will continue to do these each week when we follow up. So now we can dive in with much ado and go through. Now, we have covered a lot of these units already. So once again, just like we did with the faction breakdowns for Afterweight Banner when we did it for Invincible Army, we're going to do the greatest hits and the big key features here. But if we've covered a unit already, we'll give you a general overview of what it does or mention it, but we're probably not going to go into a deep dive. We'll talk about how it's relevant to this list.
Surprisingly, I actually think there's the least overlap between this one and the other 2 sectorials compared to any other faction.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, they have a lot of their, which is funny because I think that's why it stayed so dated. Because it's not shared by anybody else, right? So it's actually stayed relatively unique. Thematically, the Imperial Service is about control. They're a government agency that is about enforcing the will of the powers, basically, of Yu Jing and the State Empire. So what do they have? Well, they have some on-loan assets from Aleph to make sure that they're on the up and up. Think of these like they are the watchdogs sent to keep an eye on the State Empire and make sure that they're not doing anything too criminal. So you've got things like Dakinis and Divas in your Celestial Guard link. Or Tao Wu. And then you've got your Guangxi, and these are the political dissidents that are being made to serve. They're not supposed to be seen by the Aleph guys too much, because they all have bomb vests and can link. They are your cheapest regular orders, I think, in Yu Jing. They're 5 points, 6 points.
I mean, they're competing for that spot in the game right now.
Yeah, it's true.
Like,
yeah,
I think Galwegians are the only ones that compete with them at the moment. Even net rods are 6.
Yeah, net rods are 6 on these before. Yeah, because these guys have a downside where they are impetuous, but they have a fire team option. But you have to take a Celestial Guard monitor in order to fire team them. In fact, you have to take the Celestial Guard monitor just to take them, period.
Yeah.
So having them be cheap is offset by the fact that you have to take this monitor guy and his
But the monitor has a smoke grenade launcher, which you want for your MSV2. So.
You sure do. For when we get to talking about the Shen.
The volunteer is the only guy who's close, and he's 6 points as well. Because I forgot that Galwegians are not actually regular without.
No,
Wally.
they're not. Yeah, without Wallace.
Yeah. So I think this is the cheapest regular order
left in the game. Yep. You can do a support fire team with Dakinis, Divas, and Pheasants. And then you've also got Wu Ming with your heavy infantry guys. Wu Ming are also criminals. Have been like sentenced into the criminal heavy infantry corps with Zan Yings. And then you have your law and order fire teams. Dun, 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 with Bao, Pheasants, Cranes, Zan Yings, Bounty Hunters, CSUs, Shen, who's amazing. Sforza and Miranda. So like the Law and Order guys are also all the bounty hunters, I think is really interesting. And then finally your fast attack one with, and this might be a faction defining miniature, the Su Zhan, who is a fantastic piece. Wild cards, you have the Crane, the Z Zhuang, I think his name is, Celestial Guard, Adel, and Adel Crane rank, who has 2 forms. which I think we've seen. We saw him in Imperial Service or Invincible Army. Sorry, didn't we, Adel? Or is that somebody else we saw with 2 forms?
No, I think that was somebody else. I think that
Yeah.
was Engineer Man.
Was it? Not Kirk Cockrum. It was somebody else.
No,
Anyway.
it is Cockrum.
Is it Cockrum too? There's 2
White
guys in the
banner.
game basically. Yeah, it's like them in and out of their heavy armor.
Yeah.
So let's jump in then with light infantry. So we're gonna parse this the same way.
Oh no, it is Adel.
It is Adel.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought he crossed over because he's the character from is it Betrayal? Yeah, Betrayal. The one he's like hunting down Kodali. They've like captured her, and the Combined Army's trying to like break her out. So we are into light infantry. If you want to parse this the same way as us, it's options on the right hand screen if you're on your desktop in Infinity Army. And then what were the 2 features we put in? It was sort by
type and unit name.
There you go. And it gives you
Descending.
alphabetical descending. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're starting off with authorized bounty hunters. They are available. They have stealth in this too. Do they always have stealth? Am I just noticing that now?
They always do.
Oh, interesting. And then the first of the actual faction units is Bow troops. Now, I want to like Bow because on the surface, they look incredibly useful. They're BS12, which means they're higher BS than the average like line troops. They're BTS 6, they're whip 14, they're AVA 5, discover +3, which means they're whip 17 to discover, and they've got biometric and multi-spectral visor marks too.
I told you, if they have biometric, they have discover +3.
You're right. You have a multi-sniper, combi rifle, and boarding shotgun option. I really want to like these guys, but they're so expensive and so specific to like what they do. And they're like the basis of a fire team if you take them. They are they're not in any fire teams anymore.
No, they're in any of the law and orders, up to 3 of them.
What am I looking at? Why can't I see Bow in there?
They're
Pheasants,
the first
cranes,
Very top one.
Zanyangs. Oh, they're the very top one. I just didn't scroll down right. Yeah, there you go. So you have 3 in Bow.
Yeah.
But they can never have a actual like fire team bonus because nothing has law and order as a keyword. Again, because this is an older sectorial. So if you take these guys for like a core link, you're never getting. Oh no, they're only duo
That's
on
only
Harris
duo
either.
Harris,
Oh, never
yeah.
mind. Oh my god, that fire team sucks. It's only Wu Ming that can be core and Guangxi and Celestial Guard fire teams. Oh my god, these guys can't even be a pure core. Yeah, what do you guys think about them?
Look, I love bao buns. They're
I do
delicious.
too. They're delicious. Yeah.
And that's all I think about when I hear bao. So I want to like them. But it is kind of like I don't know what they actually want to do. You know what I mean? Like they got the multi-spectre visor, discover +3, and you're like, that's cool, but only BS12.
It feels like
Okay.
you could make an Overwatching Harris with 2 cheap CSUs.
Was it for the fact that the Rishi exists in this faction? Like, and the Xian? Because like at first you're
Yeah.
like, oh, maybe they're the only MSV2, right? So like, you're getting a little overtaxed for it because you're riddled in smoke. And
Mhm.
so we're gonna make it so that your MSV is limited. But they're not. The Devas can take it, the Shens can take it, the Rushi,
Yeah.
and like the Rushi can do it for cheaper with a better gun and marksmanship. So it's like
And linkable.
what are you here for? Sorry. Yeah. Can the Rushi
Yeah.
link?
Oh, not in this one. Sorry, no. He linked in. He linked in
White
different
banner,
faction,
I
didn't he?
think.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think he links here, but I mean,
That's
he
right,
doesn't
white
need
banner.
it. He's still just better. Like,
Yep.
he's also BS12, but he's sort of BS15, and he has a better gun. I guess there's an argument with the sniper, but he's cheaper then. So it's like,
Yeah, agreed.
look, you're just buying that biometric visor. Make it work. Find out that you have one friend who plays info or impersonation factions, notably only Hakislam or Shazvasti, because it doesn't work against the ones in Toha because they don't have the -6, so it doesn't do anything. And then go first, and then have this guy near that marker, and then use him to discover it,
The word I would use for these
and then
guys is
still fail.
and then fail because you're only whip 17, and you might fail on 15. 15%.
the word I would use for these guys is awkward. They are awkwardly pointed in a faction where there's other people that have their equipment load out. They can either do it for cheaper or for more expensive, but also with all the things that come with being cheaper or more expensive for a visor guy.
Yeah, the fact that Xian can join any link that a Bao can join,
Yeah.
you're just gonna bring a Xian. Like, I get it, he's double the cost, but he's more than double the person. So it's like,
And he can also
Yeah.
just hang with bounty hunters and CSUs. Yeah. Who are you? I'm Batman.
Yeah. I'm like you, but better.
I'm like you. That's right. I'm like you.
I shoot smaller bullets.
Yeah. So then let's talk about the Celestial Guard. So the Celestial Guard is your actual line troop in this faction with the AVA total. They have a very similar stat line to Zanshi's, right? So they have better whip at 14. I think the rest of the stat line's identical. CC 15, 4/4 move, +1 dodge. They're pointed equivalently. So like I think they're like a point or two more than a Zanshi. There's not a lot else to report here. They have access to like all the same
Whip
profiles.
14 is actually better than a Zhangxi.
That's what I said. That's why they're pointed higher. That's the only thing that's different is the
They're
whip.
2 points higher.
Yeah. Which for whip, because they have all the specialist profiles, I think is worthwhile. Because you get a hacker, a forward observer.
Gulam price.
Yeah. And then the monitor is just 0.5 smite, but comes with a smoke grenade launcher, which is really nice.
And a special friend.
Well, and then 4 friends, four prisoners with jobs. So moving on from there, we have CSUs. Again, if you played this season of ITS, they are the standard CSU list, but of course you can mix them into your Lawn Order fire teams with the Bows, the Pheasants, Cranes, Zanyings, and the Shen, most importantly. And then Divas on loan from Aleph. They have the full gamut of Divas here. You can have the Diva be your lieutenant if you want. And also gives you another MSV option, a linkable MSV option with an MSV2 Spitfire. You have a lot of like options for this. Again, why I think the bow is so awkwardly pointed is you have a Diva Spitfire.
Whip 15 as well. So he has also better base whip than
and number 2 and no wounding cap. So he's effectively 2 wounds, right? Against against shooting and stuff.
4 extra points for the sniper, for the Spitfire versus that sniper, but you're gaining an extra wound, a better
and one half armor. Less SWC, because it's actually less SWC.
And number 2, and
it can be core, because you can go into the core like the Celestial Guards. Dakinis and Celestial Guards can be a core. So he gets that 6th sense and that +1 BS.
Yep.
We've got access to some characters. I'm just going to quickly mention that you can have Sforza, you can have Major Luna, who's an interesting unit. Miranda Ashcroft.
I've actually ever talked about Sforza.
No, with his viral rifle, he's an interesting bear hunter and some hull projector.
Because he's not in Hakazlam and he's not in Aleph. And
he's an Aleph. We talked about him in Aleph. Yeah, he's an Aleph. He's in vanilla.
Maybe I'm just misremembering then.
Yeah, no, he's an Aleph. He's a cool bear hunting option. So you do have an option for some viral in here, which is cool.
He's not
and with Hollow Mask and X Visor, he can be real good in suppression.
Okay.
Sorry?
You just made that up. He's not an Aleph.
Isn't he?
He's in just SSS.
Okay, yeah, there you go. I knew he's in one of them.
Fair enough.
Not vanilla. Yeah. I just knew we talked about him already. Because he's a bear hunting piece.
We have adhesive launcher +1 burst is also something to be aware of.
It is, yes. Yeah.
Weirdly good ability. Doesn't come up very often.
Base BS13.
And X Visor.
And X Visor.
Normally the adhesive launcher is bad range because it drops off immediately after 16, just goes to zeros. So you can 3-tap you on effectively 10s, assuming you have cover or some mechanic, up to 32. Which is...
You can shoot that viral up to 32 as well, which is cool. And suppress it all 0 bands.
Yeah,
it's legit. He's a cool piece, but you pay for him. He's 20, 28, 26 points if you're gonna have the hull, or 28 if you're gonna use the hull protector.
Yeah.
We've got our first dire foe, which is Guifeng Zi Zhuang, who is a weird piece. He's an FO, number 2 mine layer, shock immune. He's like a glowed up Zanshi with +1 BS, or a glowed up Celestial Guard, I guess, with +1 BS. And then he's got Mad Traps, Flash Pulse, Light Flamethrower +1 burst, so double flamethrower. So if you link him, he's got a triple flamethrower, which is kind of cool. And a combi. I actually really like this guy because of Mine Layer, and he's cheap. He's only 21 points. I think he's in a sweet spot for being in a fire team. And I think he's a wild card. Yeah, he's a wild card.
Counts as Celestial too.
What do you guys think about this guy?
I like him as a cheap kind of filler. Mad traps are always fun to have in the back line. They solve a lot of silly problems.
I think there's a lot to be said about just the power in a Celestial Guard 5-man team. If you went all the way and had like a pure one and tossed in Adel and this guy, like spend a bit more, make it up for realsies, like give Adel chain of command, bring this guy, bring your Celestial Guard HMG or something like that, or even just the hacker to get the to get the hacker net, and then the smoke grenade launcher with the monitor, and then pick whatever you want. Maybe even just a grenade launcher, and then now you can have both long range. But it's like 100-ish points, which is not cheap. But these guys are like, all of a sudden they're not just like the throwaway line troopers that you have. Like they have a viable hacking. They have grenade launchers that are both template and spec fire. They have smoke grenades to back up everyone around them with all of the bonuses of being in a 5-man team. They have a chain of command guy so that your everything doesn't just fall apart on you, who also has no wounding cap and can kind of be a point man with his breaker combi as needed.
You can
and then
corner shoot
guy.
the mad trap. You can throw the mad trap around the corner and then corner shoot too, which makes these guys very offensively interesting when they're coming around corners.
Yeah, and they can play the defensive game with mad traps and flamethrowers, and yeah, I think there's something to be said about this guy compared to.
And you have 2 number 2s in there, and so then
very efficient for your fire team. Like if you lose a guy, if you lose your point man.
Yeah, either of them if they're doing it, or somebody else does it because maybe the hacker wants to start hacking brains. And yeah, I think there's something to be said about these guys. And whip 14 on the Celestial Guards. Like, whip 14 is good.
Great core. And I mean, for button pushing, right? You're 70% success rate for like pushing buttons, extracting boxes, whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah, I think it's solid.
Agreed. All right, moving on. We get the Imperial Agent Pheasant rank. Now, this is a kind of like, I feel like if this was in a different sectorial in Yu Jing, this person would have no wounding cap and shock immune, because they have like that mid-range 25 to 30 point stat line with like tons of weird skills. There's a attack werewolf with a red fury, a mine layer, a killer hacker, a hacker, and a basic boarding shotgun guy for like 25 points. And they have martial arts, chain of command, courage, dodge, and stealth. And again, they're just an armor 2 Celestial Guard. I don't super see the point of this model in this faction.
I feel like you're paying for the chain of command, and you just don't want to be paying for the chain of command.
Yeah. As a chain of command option, I feel like the other one we were talking about earlier with Adel, where they can also be like a point man, you might have more success with.
But just think of it's like you're immune to assassination. There's no lost lieutenant coming. You just bring 3 of these guys and Adel.
Yeah, it's just shaking it everywhere. Yeah, I there's not a lot to say about this guy. He's a mid-range like hacker, like support piece with either mine layer or hacking. You can take a point man version with Takaware and a red fury, but a red fury, I don't know, it's not the most reliable gunfighting piece, and it links with Dakinis, which is weird.
Well, I was about to say I like the boarding shotgun mine layer one with 2 cheapo Dakinis as just like a dirt cheap trio.
That'd be cool, yeah.
Because an emitter in ARO is actually a frightening gun.
It is. Yeah.
Like you don't want to face that up, and then he's still tossing out a mad trap as defense at the beginning of the game. And yeah, like you can have the Dakinis just get the fire team bonus, their mimetism still.
Yeah, grab paramedics so you can put them back up if you need to, and just like a regular guy.
Yep. And then that gives you a little specialist. It's like, how many points is that for those 3? 55 points.
Yeah, 55 points. Yeah.
For just a Dakini, a paramedic Dakini, and him with his mad traps. And he just stands there putting out his mad traps and AROs with his emitter at the like round 2 kind of thing. And then they wander around doing objectives and shooting as like the group 2 mulligan link. Like,
yep, and have a chain of command.
And then their chain of command. So you have that in your list. But I would never bring more than one of these guys. I don't know why you would, but you could, I guess.
Yeah, they feel like seasoning, not steak, if that makes sense.
Speaking of steak, though. Guangxi.
You're gonna go thick with Guangxi in this list just because they're 5-point regular orders. Yeah, there was a long time, especially in N3. I think it's still probably pretty true. If you want to start this list, you start it with 4 Guangxi and a controller, although they're AV8, which I think is hilarious.
And it's impossible to find a box of them.
I bet it is, yeah.
Dan would know.
Dan's currently trying, yeah, so that makes sense. There's 2 profiles, a chain rifle and a boarding shotgun. I've never met anyone who's taken the boarding shotgun in my life.
Why would you?
I don't.
It's wild how expensive that jumps. 7
right?
points for just the shotgun.
Yeah. I think it's the fact that it has a face-to-face weapon with Dogged and Impetuous. right? Where you can be fast to get it in a short range, and then your dog so that you can potentially template or fight and not die, whatever the rubric is for it.
They have handguns, right? So
They sure do. Yeah. For whatever reason, they don't seem to count handguns. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so outcosted, overcosted. Like the bang for your buck is like 5 points. Yes. 12 points, you're like, but why?
Now, the one thing you will notice is that the only person with smoke grenades in this core, though, is the Celestial Guard monitor, which is one of the things that keeps these guys cheap is they don't have their own delivery system. If that monitor dies, these guys lose a bunch of value because there's war bands at that point that have no way of like delivering themselves.
Does it fall apart? Yeah, it's canceled if the Celestial Guard leaves the monitor.
That's right. Yeah. As soon as he dies, you can't be in a fire team with them anymore. So they all gain impetuous, they lose their cover, and yeah, they're gonna freak out. But they're cheap as hell.
Doesn't get a tag. I think it's because of these guys.
No, it's because of Sujan. Sujan is their tag. Yeah, and Sujan's amazing. We'll talk about Sujan in a minute, but yeah, he's amazing. I think the one we haven't talked about is Major Luna. I can't remember if we've talked about her yet, but I don't think we have.
I think she's referenced her as being bad now when we talked about O12.
No, did we talk about her as bad now? I thought we talked about somebody else as bad now.
It was now competing with Armand was the other
right.
One. But then she was like, "Oh, what about Luna?" And it's like, "What about Luna?"
Luna's cheaper than Nauf. Has a lot of the same stats because she's still got mimetism and MSV1. Yeah, but she's got camo. It's one use, but she's got camo and surprise attack. Stealth, terrain total, and she has triangulated fire, which means she can fire into damn near anything and hit, which is crazy. And she's a viral sniper rifle. Sure, but a viral sniper rifle, right? Sure, yes, but triangulated fire can be very
walking
handy.
This back already.
Well, if you're shooting a suppressing min -6 piece in cover, 10s is real good. Right, like 10s is all of a sudden really
suppressing.
Good.
You're probably outranging him anyways,
or you're up close
with your sniper.
Yeah, you might be. They might have pinned you down with it through smoke. Like I'm just saying, like there's times where it's going to be handy. She can do like an aim shot and kill somebody.
He's just making this up. Yes, it's neat. I'll allow it.
I want triangulated fire to be so cool, but I've yet to ever see it happen.
It's cooler on people who don't have SWC weapons. Triangulated fire is really good on guys with combi rifles, right? Where they can shoot the board all of a sudden, or if they have like a weirdly good fizz and a basic ranged gun, and they can dodge up and then fire triangulated fire. There's a few times triangulated fire is really good on somebody, and then like a breaker combi or something like that. And then here it's not necessarily. It'll be situationally useful because it's a viral.
My little marksmanship bots have liked it because they can use their tack aware to go out and do a face-to-face and then triangulate the second one, or some combination thereof.
Yeah. I think she's great. She is a great list 2 piece if you think you're going to fight bears or any kind of total immunity.
And you decided that linking Sforza with the viral rifle that he has with an X visor.
He's more expensive than she is too. I think I'd rather have her in my pocket in camo.
Also, she's more expensive than he is, for the record.
That's 3 points. Is she?
He's 3 points cheaper and no swig.
Right. That's right.
And also links with other things.
Yeah.
So
I think I'd rather have her.
If you have the model and like it, you could use it.
Yeah, there you go. I wouldn't. She wouldn't. If I was worried about like bears and I was like, man, I really need something to deal with that, Sforza in a link is good. She has MSV. I guess that's her thing. She can stop.
She stops the smoke. That's what I'm saying. She stops the smoke advance, and she can sit way back and cover. Whereas Sforza is a mid-range brawler. He can't cover as much ground as she can. I feel like she's if you have access to her and you're playing in a meta with Ariadne or smoke war bands, she's a great counter to that because you don't get Nauf.
You get Shen though.
You get Shen. Then we got Miranda Ashcroft, authorized bounty hunter, part of the Law and Order teams, the motorized bounty hunters, and their vroom vroom bikes. Can they duo in this? I think they can.
Yeah, they can join the Sujan too,
and they sure can. We'll talk about that too. Sophatex on loan from. If you want to spend 31 points to have a doctor engineer in the same model with no wounding cap, I don't take Sophatex in Aleph. I wouldn't take them here either. They're like, what if Dr. Worm was way too expensive?
I don't bring healers.
Yeah, I know you don't believe in healing. You don't believe in your pieces getting any kind of
Whip
help.
15 is always nice.
Sure.
But you also get Whip 15 out of the Davis, so.
Yeah. I just feel like she's too much.
I forgot Dr. Worm was 22 points.
Right? What if Dr. Worm was almost twice as much points, or 50%?
She got no wounding cap. That's cool. He doesn't have that.
Cool. I'd rather not have no wounding cap and not be 31 points. She'd be fine then. She's just way too many points.
He gets both of his slaves and he's still cheaper than she is.
Right? He's 28
29
points?
He's 22 points. 29 with both of his
28
because they're only 3
that's 3 points each. Wait, Dr. Worm makes the Sophitex look terrible. Dr. Worm is amazing. Then we got Tao Wu, who I think we talked about as well. It gives you option for counterintelligence. Has a weirdly good CC ability because he's not martial arts, but he's got a +1 burst viral pistol in melee if he wants to fight schlubs, and if he wants to fight like a tag, he's got a mono weapon. He's weirdly really good in melee.
It's not like getting him to where he needs. He's a burst 3 nanopulsar. What's that?
It's
getting him where he needs to be is the problem. But at least he's got like a hollow mask. So
you disguise him as somebody else, right? Yeah, exactly. Disguise him as I don't know, just like some kind of schlub that no one's gonna shoot at.
Yeah, is he having a link in this faction?
Yeah, he's in the
with Celestial Guards.
I see.
If you're taking him as a Harris, it would be.
So you deliver him with the smoke launcher. You put the Celestial Guard monitor or whatever, the smoke launcher guy in with him, and then get him in melee.
Yep.
Stab. And it gives you the option for some counterintelligence. Now you got access to Workhorse, and then the Zhang Ying Imperial Agent, who's one of the few that still gets to use his bioimmunity in an interesting way, because it makes him armor 3 if he wants. And then again, he's a glowed up Celestial Guard, so he's got better CC and 6th Sense and bioimmunity. But then has access to like a absolute plethora of like fighting guns and sensor and triangulated fire. This is a weird profile. What do you guys think about this profile?
I like triangulated fire with like a boarding shotgun. That's funny.
Or HMGs, right? It's a breaker combi. You don't get the you get the that's just breaker combis. That's right. Yeah.
So you can triangulated fire the board with a boarding shotgun.
It's still limited by the weapons range.
You go up to the maximum 24. You wouldn't be -6 for the range.
Boarding shotguns actually go to -3. They're weirdly not bad.
Oh, it's pistols that go to -6, isn't it? They drop off immediately.
There's a couple other ones, but yeah, boarding shotguns are not one of them.
Yeah, they only go up to 24.
I like suppressing HMG guy is pretty cool with 6th Sense. Where he suddenly starts spinning around shooting in any direction. Or my favorite one is the Breaker Combi Mad Trap Mine Layer.
That's what I was gonna say too. Yeah, the Mine Layer guy. They could be interesting lieutenant option with sensor triangulated fire for 21 points because there's no SWC cost associated with that. But you're only whip 13 then. We have worse whip than the Celestial Guards, which I think is weird.
I think the 23.1 that has the breaker combi. Because with the breaker combi with triangulated fire.
And Mad Crabs, and Mine Layer.
It's a decent. I wish it had some kind of forward deployment, but not bad for 23 points.
These guys link with the Wu Ming, which is weird. It's a way of cheapening up the core Harris if you wanted to do a Wu
They are also team. The Law and Order guys. They're in that pile.
Are they in that one too? That one's got everybody. Holy moly.
Yeah. I think there's a neat thing that you could do depending on what you're playing against to like have a trio of these guys with breaker combis, run up the board with them, and then coordinate suppression. Because they'll be able to just shoot anyone who comes near them and anyone who tries to sneak up on them.
They do interestingly have the Wu Ming keyword, which means you can take a pure Wu Ming with like 4 of these guys in it, which is funny. So 4 of these in a Wu Ming. Like take the 4 19-point cheap ones.
You do need the Wu Ming, but yeah.
Oh, I see 4. Yeah, 1 Yu Ming and then Wu Ming.
Yeah.
And then 4
you have to have at least 1 Wu Ming. But so you could have like the heavy infantry point man, which we'll get to later. But these guys could be just seat fillers, right? Take them to 4 at like 19 with the boarding shotgun or 21 with the regular rifle.
I miss Sniffer.
Me too. Deployable sensors. I do miss those. Well, that's it for light infantry. There's some interesting choices in here. I do think, like Owen said, the Celestial Guards are kind of the standouts, and obviously the Guangxi are a huge feature of this. Peppering in things like the Zanyings. I don't see the Bao, but maybe the Guifeng because he's also Celestial Guard. And
I could see you not playing Celestial Guard and bringing Guangxi, or vice versa.
Like,
I was going to say your core is either a Celestial Guard core or the Guangxi.
Yeah.
Or Wuming if you're going all the way. although they don't do it better than anybody else, but you can make it real cheap with the Zanyings. You can make it like 90 points per model.
Yeah, but I'm just saying of the light troopers, those are I think the two that you're going to see pop up more often than not.
Yeah, I agree.
Either like a middle tier.
Fire gets pretty good if you have a +3 bonus.
You don't get a +3.
You don't get any bonus. There's no bonus, no pluses or minuses applied to it. That's right. When you triangulate. Sorry, bud.
Yeah, I thought it was like before kind of thing, so it would apply.
You could coordinate, triangulate fire.
You sure could.
Deploy second and coordinate down to Mim linked sniper or something. I don't know. I don't know.
It's such a weird interaction. Yeah. And so rare. All right. Well, then we've got medium infantry, in which case we have one very useful model and one model that you will almost never see anymore, which is sad. The first one's Adel. No, I think Adel's got something going on. Adel's interesting. Although I think his heavy armor version is more interesting. We talked about him last episode, I believe. Or no, it was in White Banner, wasn't it? Where he's got the no wounding cap version, and then he flips over to with chain of commanding, and then he flips over to the heavy infantry version. So we won't spend too much time on this one, but basically this guy's a point man. He's a BS13
because he can join the Celestial Guards as a Celestial Guard.
Yes,
that's my whole. I like him for that reason.
And number 2, no wounding cap, veteran, specialist, or chain of command. I think he's priced accordingly for what he does. He doesn't feel too expensive at 32 points for what he is.
He also could just dumpster a guy who gets into your backline with melee because he's a monofilament, and if he's tagged up with 4 Celestial Guards, you're like, "Let's go, boys! Burst 5, here we go!"
Yeah, burst 3 nanoballs are.
He's hoping they don't have a melee weapon. Or a blast
who cares?
Weapon.
Oh yeah, okay.
If they have a template weapon.
Yeah, but then he's 5-man like breaker, right? And because he has no wound, he can fight it, right?
Yeah.
I think there's something to say, and he's also dodge +3. So
yeah, dodge +3.
Dodge on a 14, move 3 inches, get into melee, and then walk the other guy who is nearby into that melee as well.
There's something interesting about him having sensor as well. I think, like the fact that he could join that fire team and use that to hunt down like markers.
Yeah. If you're going to go the Celestial route, which you could, I think there's definitely something to say about the Celestial Guard, even as a group 2 for like 90 points or 80 points. Even you can do a group 2 fire team of these guys that just go out and do stuff.
Yep, agreed. Then we're into Sun Tzu Mark II, the marksman leader. This is Sun Tzu with a sniper rifle. He's BS14 now, which is great. He used to be BS11. When he's BS11 with a sniper rifle, I was like, what are you doing? But he's MSV1. He is a Whip 17 lieutenant with
holy cow, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, Whip 17 lieutenant. You know who the lieutenant is when this guy shows up. He gives shock to his multi-sniper rifle, courage, total immunity, which is pretty cool. No wounding cap, and Strategos level 2. So he's 51 points if he's your lieutenant, though. But if he's your lieutenant, he knows the art of war. But you're telegraphing the whole thing. He's such a cool profile. I just wish
2 wounds.
Yeah, he just needs to be full heavy infantry.
Yeah, 2 wounds with no wounding cap. I would see this guy
veteran. I think he needs veteran, so he's immune to
he's got
like lost lieutenant states in isolation. Right.
Well, see, I'm okay with that though because his faction's littered in chain of command.
So I'm just saying thematically and for the points, I feel like he doesn't feel like who he is if he's not that tough and isn't like immune to like the leadership debuffs.
Like he wants to be a gunfighter, but then he could just die.
His TI pumps him way up.
Yep.
If he was 2 wounds with the total immunity, that would be probably off the rails for a 50-ish point guy. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I think, or make him MSV2.
Or make him linkable. He has no linkable options. He has nobody to bodyguard him.
He doesn't need peasants. He's
But
better
if
than
he's your lieutenant and you're telling your opponent I'm whip 17 on my lieutenant roll at the beginning of the game,
yeah, and then he stands up
everyone
and
knows.
shoots you, and you go, "Oh, here we go."
I guess he's mad. I guess I didn't honor his book.
I think he like the list of things that I think he's not bad. TI I think is underrated. Like it started popping up.
If he was
more and
2
more now.
wounds, I think TI'd be a bigger deal. He's no wounding gap, which is cool, but he's not shock immune. Oh no, he is because he's total immune. He's total immune.
Yeah. No, he's
That's
built
right.
different. He's actually surprisingly hard to push over for basically like I would bring this guy over Major Luna. Like if I was like having a moment and lost it and decided that I would bring Luna in a list, I'd be like, oh, I'll just bring Sun Tzu.
Well, there is
like
another
somewhere
version of
like
this guy.
20.
We're gonna talk about him again in a minute because there is a heavy infantry version that's 2 wounds.
I try it out.
Yeah.
Well, when he gets to 2 wounds, boy, does he get expensive.
Yeah.
And he goes back down to BS12, which I think is really funny.
Yeah. Gains Memphis. Anyway, we'll get there. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's something neat here with the sniper rifle. The heavy infantry one is.
You would shock people, I think, if you showed up with this guy, because I don't think anybody uses him this way. But I think it'd be cool if you did. I would love to see somebody try and use him that way.
Because you could just accept that he's gonna. I wish he had +1 order instead of +1 command token.
Yeah.
If you were gonna like spice him up against the other one,
but he has Strategos, right? So I get he's I see what you're saying. So he's
because like Hector
generates
right?
2 extra orders. Yeah.
Like pull a Hector and give him plus orders or 2 orders, whatever the fuck Hector does. It's like 5 orders in a man. But yeah, do that.
Points, huh?
Yeah. So this guy's neat. He can't be hacked. How about that? You like that?
Yeah.
I know you talk about hacking all the time. I've never seen anyone hack, but
this guy can't be hacked. Yeah, I'd give him. I think he should have veteran. That's what I would give him.
Sure.
What's nice is there's a pretty good chance of you going first,
or at least controlling the turn order. Maybe you don't.
With a 17 whip, yeah. If you high roll it, you're gonna probably get to choose.
Yeah.
You have a 35% window basically for the high roll there, where most people have a 15 to 20% window.
And I do think, and I guess this is going to compete with the heavy infantry one as well, but the ability to hold 2 guys back, because of the Sujans in this faction and the Xians, I think is pretty big. And the ability to move guys between groups without paying for it each round in a list where like your Guangxi are going to die in troves and you might need to pull some people back and forth.
Throw orders around, to pad out one side or the other and power somebody up.
I mean, we should just talk about his heavy infantry and just compare them.
Let's do it. Yeah, sure. Let's just jump in the heavier.
Just for him, at least. And then
it makes sense.
Shields, but
so he's got a boarding shotgun multi-rifle version, and it's either lieutenant, not lieutenant. But his price goes through the roof to 60 points.
Would you ever bring him as not a lieutenant?
No.
Why? No. If you're going to bring him, just bring him.
So let's ignore those first 2 profiles.
Yeah. But he goes to 6-2 move. He drops to BS 12, Fizz 12, still whip 17, arm 4 BTS 6 though, and 2 wounds. And he's still Strategos level 2. No, he's still no wounding cap, which is effectively 3 wounds now. Still total immune and mimetism. So he is a pretty beefy, if
his
tough
medium
guy.
infantry kept that 2 wounds, it'd be so good.
Yeah, he's crap Hector is what he is, because he has no BS. Like his BS is only 12, but he has all those kind of pseudo defensive stats baked in.
Yeah.
But if you take him as your 10 at that point, he is hellaciously expensive at 60 points.
Yeah.
I'd consider the sniper version. I don't think I'd consider this version.
Dude, here's the thing though. 2 wounds, no wounding cap, immunity total with -3
and armor 4. So
he's tough.
armor 7
he is
against
super tough.
Everything.
Yeah. But he can't fight.
He can kind of fight.
I wonder if you give him the boarding shotgun and you turn 1, send it.
And you just
you just go. You're littered in chain of command. And you just turn 1, Sun Tzu goes mini Achilles and runs across the board. And he's just like
hobo with a shotgun and just runs to the other side of the thing. Just Rucker Howers everybody.
He's pretty tough hobo. Let's just say that.
Watch out, he's got a Vulcan shotgun. It's fine. I'll just template him.
That's right.
And remember, he can also just hit you with the fancy flash pulse BS 20.
Oh my god, it is PS20 for the flash plus.
Right? Like
bananas. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
he's
He,
like,
he
hey,
can just pocket sand
fuck that
anybody.
guy.
Pocket sand.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
actually insane.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
PS20 pocket
Flash
sands.
pulse.
8 to
There's-
24. So he
there's
just
no-
shoots you with a BS20. You can't fail. He rolls one dice or something, but
Yeah, I was gonna say he could low dice it. That'd be the problem with the
But if
if the
you
flash
high
pulse
dice-
was +1 burst, that would be a legit combo actually. If his flash pulse was +1 burst, he could look out, flash people to stun them, and then just walk up point blank with the boarding shotgun and finish them off, which would
here's
be
the thing,
cool
though.
as hell. I
The-
think,
I think the
cool.
big thing though is the flash pulse is his way to close the gap.
Yeah,
right?
this is delivery
Because
system.
move 6 flash pulse, move 6 flash pulse, and like so long as you roll like even just middling, most people aren't going to hit you. You're
and your
mem
mod's
3, you're
stacking
going to be
back
in
with
cover,
covered mem. Yeah,
right? I think there's something there. I think it is a gimmick.
it's a huge gimmick because it's a big chunk of your army. It's 40% of your army.
But
No,
I think this guy is going to get his
20% of
points
your army.
back a lot of times.
Sure.
If him 5 Quang Shis, group 2, and they just go.
they just
And then
run
group 1
forward.
is like the real army, and they're
Yeah,
like,
the actual
like,
army.
buddy.
These are the disposable heroes. It's 80 points of my army, and the other 220 points are
The
just
Celestial Guard has to be with him. So Celestial Card, 3
No, he
Quang
doesn't.
Shis. Huh?
No link.
You can't.
you
bring
can't even
Quang Shi
take them in
without
the
a
army
Celestial
without
Guard.
a
Quang
Quang
Shi
Shi
cannot be
is-
taken.
guard, and they have to be in the same combat group. Yeah, no choice.
Where's a unit is
It's under
composed
Quang
of?
Shi. So under Quang
It's
Shi,
the bottom of the Quan Chi
It-
entry.
the Quang Shi
Like,
entry
unit is-
comes with the Celestial Guard, and at the very bottom.
Yeah, it's like taking an FTO thing. It says a Quang Shi unit is composed of 1 monitor and up to 4 Quang Shi. All of them must be in the same combat group.
Okay, but why does that require them to have?
Because you
not
cannot
unit,
take
it's
them.
not
They're
fire team,
not.
like-
They're not a like. What they're saying is it's not a fire team. It's just in order
Oh,
to
I see
include
what
these in
you're
the
saying.
army. This is the prerequisite for you to include them.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, still bring 3.
But
in.
still, then you get a smoke guy.
93 points, and you also get your smoke in your group 2 with 6-7 orders,
Now you can deliver the shotgun with smoke.
right?
Sure, sure, man.
All right, I'll do it.
Give it a
That'll
go.
be. I'll
Give
build
it a
that as
go.
my list.
This
here.
is-
I have a
Liu
Sun Tzu with
Shang's-
shotgun model.
Owen is
Perfect.
doubling. This is the season of Owen with boarding shotgun troops that he loves.
Yeah.
I've got murdered by some boarding shotguns.
Look,
It's
Dude,
scary.
Hospitaller boarding shotgun has won me more games than
I'm
any
aware.
model.
I'm aware of Dr.
any
Shotgun's
model in the
performance. Yeah,
game.
I know. I'm aware. Yeah, hitting on 23s is no
Sunduk
joke.
Bud is working on it. He's trying to catch up, but he's got like 50 wins to go before
That's
he
right.
catches up
Yeah.
to boarding shotgun
He's not
Hospitaller.
he's not a Hall of Famer yet.
Yeah, he's a good rookie, but you got to win longer before you get into
Yeah.
in the
You got to
hall.
win the Intercontinental strap before you come for the heavyweight title.
Yeah.
Well, then let's move on to Shen's.
Okay.
I do love a Shen. This guy is, again, this is a faction where your main differential from the big heavy gunfighters, like you have access to modern heavy infantry, like gunfighters, brawler pieces. And the slight difference between you and something like Pano is your 1 point of ballistic skill. So this is your BS14 guy. He's Fizz 14 as well. This is like modern power armor, whip 14, armed 4 BTS 6, 2 wounds, but he's also stacking an MSV 2. So when you're talking about paying 50 points for a heavy infantry guy and you're looking at Sun Tzu, this is also capable of being your lieutenant with a multi-marksman rifle and -6 tin bot and gives you an SWC. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Has all the guns between multi-marksman, HMG, and multi-rifle. You can get every possible gun and then 3 lieutenant options as well. You can have 4 of these guys. And they are wild.
Wait. You can get to 10 Swick.
Sure.
You'd never be able to use it.
No. Oh, yes, right, because the specialist option should also be
specialist
plus
option
stick for
to
some
the-
reason, which is bizarre.
New list building opportunity. Stand by.
Take these guys and then just swim in SWC. But you don't get a tag, so you don't get to use it very often.
Celestial sniper rifles.
He's also no joke in melee. He's just got an AP close combat weapon, but he's martial arts 1 with CC21. It's more of a defensive than an offensive boost. And then courage. So I think this is a faction defining piece one of maybe like a half dozen faction defining pieces like the Guangxi and the Suzhan. The Shen is a very good, for its point value, gunfighter. Any thoughts about him?
I kind of wish he didn't have the +1 Swick.
It doesn't really do anything. You're never going to use it.
No,
No,
not that. I just mean purely like Sun Tzu is a cool thing, and he exists basically here. This is his like moment to shine. And they're like, what if we gave another guy who's just like better?
Yes.
And we're gonna put them.
That's
we're
it.
gonna make
This is
them
the
hold
Shang-Chi
hands.
problem. This
Like,
is the Shang-Chi problem, right? Like where there's
Yeah.
a very faction defining gunfighter piece here.
yeah,
He has
Yeah.
counters because MSV can be countered by
Albedo and
Eclipse
stuff.
and by Albedo and by White Noise.
yeah.
But most
But
of the
because
time,
he's
it's a benefit.
linkable, he's gonna get around a lot of this stuff too.
And you have smoke in your faction, which means you can smoke shoot.
Yeah, and you have not only do you have smoke in your faction, you have trivially cheap and easy smoke in your faction. It's not even like only a few people
but
have
they're
it.
leading
It's here's this idiot who I'm always bringing with his pile of free orders, 5-point orders. But
sure.
yeah, no, I think he's amazing. I think you're hard pressed to justify not bringing one, even if you go all the way to like Lieutenant HMG guy, because like why not? You can afford it. You have chain of command. Yep.
Very much agree.
Great, 10 out of 10.
All right.
He's
Imperial Agent,
probably one of the best models in the game.
I
I'd
agree.
probably go down on
heavy
that
infantry.
one.
Yeah. He's an Aquila guard with a discount, basically. And I think the multi-marksman rifle with the firewall is an incredible profile.
Yep. And still +1 Swick.
That's right. Then you get Adel in his crane armor. We talked about this guy before. He basically builds in the veteran, gets an extra wound, and all the usual like crane bonuses. So 4/6 armor. Other than that, he's kind of the same gear, does the same stuff, but he's heavy infantry.
You can get a +1.5 Swick.
There you go. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. You could take 3 Xians and then 1 Green Agent.
Moving
Okay.
on.
Look how much Swick you could have. You'll never be able to spend it, but
Of
look how
course
much
you
you
won't.
could have.
All right. This is the tactical awareness problem where Dan's now gone down a Swick rabbit hole. Cranes. Cranes fight very hard to be relevant in an army with Shens, would be my comment on Cranes. They have the similar core stats, but worse BS and worse Fizz. They
And
have
no MSV.
no MSV. They have martial arts 3 though, and better CC, stealth, and they do have some interesting gear. They have a multi-rifle and a Spitfire option. So these 2 options. They do have lieutenant options, but they also get sensors, X visors, and triangulated fire. An X visor Spitfire is actually kind of interesting.
It's not an MSV HMG though.
It's not an MSV HMG, no. But if you're looking for a midfield piece, the thing is you pay for all that gear. So these guys are in the same kind of like point range almost. They're a little bit cheaper, but not so much cheaper that the BS visor and longer range guns don't become super relevant.
I do think that their enemy isn't the Xian, who you're right, they kind of play different roles with the back, like the long range Xian versus the mid range agent. It's the Suzhan that's their
Yes.
like,
Yeah. Because
why bring you if I could bring
he operates in the same range bands. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He is a little bit more expensive, but let's just move right on to him because this guy was the first transforming model in Infinity, and he remains one of the coolest. I actually still have. So when I sold my, or I didn't sell it, I gave it as a prize at the Tactical Awareness Tournament, my collection, my kitty cat Suzhan went away, but I still have my original Crabbot Suzhan, who transformed.
Is that
So he has a
older than
combat
Dog Faces?
profile. Sorry?
Is that older than Dog Faces?
It is, yes.
Huh.
Oh, sorry. The transform at will. Sorry, is what I mean.
Oh,
I don't
I
mean
see
like
what you're
transforms by like being injured. I mean like transforms at will. It goes back and forth, right?
Got it.
Right, because the Zoonotic was the
Mobility and
second, I
combat.
think.
Yeah.
The Zoonotic was the second one, and now the Roadbot can do it too.
Right.
But yeah, you've got your high mobility form and your combat form. So basically, your BS goes up and down, and your movement goes up and down based on which one you're in. I think the skill lists are similar,
Your
but I
Climbing
think
Plus
you
goes
get
up and
Climbing
down.
Plus only on the kitty cat form and the mobility form. That's right. This is
This one
a
makes more sense. You get a kitty cat who can climb, and then you go over to O12 and you're like, high mobility, you're a motorcycle. You can climb walls. You're like,
Doesn't
wait,
make
but
sense.
motorcycles aren't allowed to climb. The whole
Doesn't
rule
make
of the
sense.
game.
It like wall runs everywhere.
Don't worry, this guy
Parkours.
runs in face first into the no wounding cap remote presence shenanigans.
Yes,
Oh
he
my
does. Also, this guy not being remote and being heavy infantry gives him access to a very important skill, which is cautious movement. There is none. There is no
not
other
marksmanship.
Yes,
Which
yes,
is also,
but there is.
Yeah,
but there is no other 8-inch first moving model in the game that can cautious move. Because motorcycles can't do it and remotes can't do it.
He doesn't have stealth though.
He doesn't need stealth because
and within zone of control of somebody with
you can't. No, you can't with zone of control. You don't even need stealth. You can't do it with stealth either. There's no one.
Yeah, you
do
can.
it.
Stealth can.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought you couldn't. Period, because of the cautious
As long
move
as-
skill.
as long as you're outside
Stealth
of
has a
line of sight.
line for it.
Oh, does it?
where
Oh, it's in the
specifically
stealth
calls
skill.
it out.
Got it.
Yeah.
Again, calls it out. Got
You
it.
can declare cautious move inside the zone of control of enemy models and markers, notably,
Cool.
which you can't do without stealth.
Well, climbing plus will typically get you around that because it means that you can go whatever angle it takes to not be in zone of control of somebody.
Real hard, though, but it does mean that there's that one thing that's going to stop him from just freely like, I hop over here.
But just it is such a huge deal that people would look at this profile in the meeting don't really realize an 8-inch cautious move can zip almost any gap. And that is a huge deal, right? Being able just to go 8 inches and just cross in the open and no one sees you as long as you get outside of zone of control of somebody is a
Can you
huge
cautious
deal.
move as part of a fire group?
Maybe.
Or
It's a
fire-
long move skill, so no. Oh no, you would be able to, yeah, but you'd all have to be able to do it at the same time, which would be very like it'd be very Beatles going across Abbey Road. They'd all have to be lined up perfectly and then take the steps all at the same time.
You would likely do it as like get a guy across a gap
Yeah,
out of the link, and everyone else just waits. That's
Well,
kind
everyone else can kind of like move up behind.
Yeah, they can
kind of thing.
truffle shuffle around. Sure.
so you have two different versions of this guy. There's a brawler gun Spitfire one that shoots up to 24, and then there's a heavy shotgun +1 burst, which is pretty cool because it's a burst 3 heavy shotgun. Both have Panzerfausts, and the Spitfire also has the defensive light flamethrower that it can fire as well.
I'd also say that this is Ash's favorite model in this faction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Safe to say. So I think it's a lot of people's favorite model in this faction because it is a real superhero piece. It doesn't require a lot of support. It can go off and do whatever it needs to do. And it does exactly like it is incredibly tough with Arm 5 BTS6 no wounding cap and shock immune. It is very hard to kill. It goes
And
where it
two
wants to go to
structure.
get plunging fire. That's right. And it transforms into a BS14 gun platform and then obliterates things. This is
So
very-
something cool about no wounding cap and remote presence is that
yeah.
if you're at 1 wound left and take 2 wounds, then you go to your
No, if you activate no wounding cap, you go straight to dead afterwards. Doesn't matter how many levels of unconscious you have.
right. But what if you get hit by 2 wounds?
So the
At the same
interesting thing
time.
is, I think the interaction is if you take your first wound and second wound and go unconscious, and then take a third wound while unconscious, you could activate no wounding cap instead of going to dead.
I
Does that
remember
make
really
sense?
trying to dig down on this and then giving up because it gets into really like gray areas. Because if I recall, there's not actually a definition of killed or something like that. Like there's
You enter the
Oh,
dead
okay.
state. There is. It's all states, right? So
no
when
dead
you activate
isn't a state. Dead is like that's what it was. It's there's a bottom there that it doesn't explain between the no wounding cap and unconscious, where it explains that you die, but it's like if dead, then anyway. I remember digging down on this and not being able to find an answer, and decided
Right.
to just say, "Hey,
well, you skip the unconscious state, which means your second level of unconscious wouldn't trigger, basically.
No, but I think what can happen though, because you have 2 levels of unconscious, is if you take both those wounds at the same time, you can go to no wounding cap on your second level of unconscious.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. Yes. That's what could happen. You go unconscious, and then the second level unconscious, you could trigger the no wounding cap at the very bottom. Yes.
Yeah. So
You have to take all the wounds all at the same time, though. Yes.
Yes.
You're right.
Yes. So that's kind of like a cool thing where you're like, I just took 4 wounds.
You
I'm still
kind of have a
standing.
third wound. Yeah, you
I'm
kind of have a
standing.
third wound. Yeah. Or third structure. Yeah.
Well,
I think that's correct. Obviously, in the comments they'll explain it to us, but
Yeah.
it is a very weird interaction between remote presence and no wounding
because
cap.
my thing was this is where it was remote presence gives you 2 distinct levels of unconscious, where you lose your last hit point and you enter unconscious like any other trooper, If they take another one, they don't go dead, but they would enter a special second level of unconscious, signified by a second unconscious token. But no wounding cap says if you where is it here? The use can be provided. Where is it? It's in here where it's you can't use it if you're already unconscious.
Nah, then it wouldn't work.
Allows a trooper to ignore null. To activate, a player must announce it. I gotta find it now.
Well, everything about no wounding cap is all about wounds, but he's got structure. So
no wounding cap is that you ignore the null portion of being unconscious, right? So you're technically in the unconscious state, but you're ignoring the null part where you don't get to move around and get orders.
So the other thing is, it says that the trooper takes one further point of his wounds attribute,
which
also applies to troopers with a structure attribute. You're enter the dead state and remove from play. So you don't get your second level of
unconscious
if you triggered no wounding cap on your first level.
Correct. Yeah. The question isn't whether or not that would happen. That's always been kind of clear. The question is, if you took 3 wounds, could you trigger the no wounding cap on the second unconscious level?
Yeah,
but if no wounding cap calls out
upon entering it, when you entered the unconscious state, you can announce that you're using it.
Well, then there you go.
You enter it.
The trooper entered. The requirement is the trooper entered unconscious state, and his player announced that he would activate no wounding cap, whether inactive or reactive.
So the question is, do you enter it twice then, or do you only ever enter it once at the very beginning?
Yeah,
right. It's like, what's the timing?
Now,
is
it does state in remote presence that it is 2 distinct levels of unconscious. So, like the implication, I think you should be able to do it at any time on both of them.
I will suspect there's an FAQ out there somewhere that says that you can only do it the first time you enter, but that's just my gut instinct. We have to look it up.
But you can't do it off of. Oh, here it is. It's in the FAQ at the bottom here.
There you go.
You can activate Dogged or New Wounding Cap when enters any level of unconscious, but not if they're already in an unconscious state.
There you go. So if you took it all at once, if you were already unconscious and down, they hit you with another attack, then you could trigger it afterwards.
But wait.
It wouldn't be able to be happening from the same level because you'd already be
not. But you're not in an unconscious state.
You are in the unconscious state when you take the second one.
Yeah, this is what always gets me is like if you take the 2, you can activate Dogged or No Wounding Cap when you enter any level of unconscious, but not if you're already in unconscious. And then when looking at remote presence, it's when you suffer your last hit point, you go to unconscious, and then there's a second one, which is a distinct separate unconscious, but you're already unconscious at that point. And so you can't use no wounding cap because you're already at any level of unconscious state.
Yeah.
And
but if you enter the unconscious state, if you do it, you ignore the null label and treat it as a normal state.
Right, but then you take. I understand that, but I'm saying if you took the 2 damage, so you took your 4 damage, right, Dan?
Sure.
First one, second one. Now you're about to go unconscious. You're like, do I use it now or not? Right, because that's the moment. If you say no and you go unconscious, you can't use it after that point because you're already in an unconscious state. And the FAQ states in here, you cannot use it if a trooper is already in an unconscious state and you're about to get a second independent, distinct in unconscious state. So it has to be on the first unconscious. And if you took a second wound.
But if you do it on the first unconscious,
you die. Because you've taken a wound while in the no in-cap state and then go directly to death.
So it doesn't work.
No. Moving on. You Wu-Ming.
We'll figure it out. I
think we did. The FAQ seems to outline pretty clearly that you can't with the multiple levels. So Wu-Ming, those without a name, they've lost their names.
Oh, where did they go?
They are immune to shock on top of the Celestial Guard profile. They get some extra CC and some extra BS. Phys 13 because they're heavy infantry. Arm for only BTS 3. 2 wounds, and you can have 5 of these guys.
They're not overly expensive for arm 4, 2 wound.
Yeah, and they have a cool. I think the BTS being stripped back is actually keeping them a little bit cheaper there. They got a fairly cool profile and loadout. A lot of them have mines. The basic guy has mines, which I think is cool, and an emitter. So combi rifle, emitter, shock mines, there's something there. And remember, you can pad out their fire team with Zanyings. So if you did want to build a core fire team that hits pretty hard, there's an HMG profile, there's a base 32-point profile, and you could take the 19-point boarding shotgun.
24-point SMG chain rifle Wu Ming is
sure,
pretty cheap.
yeah, damn right, yeah.
Look,
But I suppose that 5-point difference is a Guangxi.
Is a Guangxi, yeah.
this is what's nice. EM grenade launcher, 5-man. You're doing spec fires on 10s.
Okay.
Damn right. Also boarding, you can get a tin bot
Pretty good.
-6 with the boarding shotgun, which is cool. I like these guys. They do. They have kind of like Teutonic Knight, like floating around that point value. They're a little bit higher because they have like better guns, but they have better armor. Like Arm 4 as opposed to like being 3-3, being 4-3. They're a little bit tougher, and having that option to keep them still like a composition bonus fire team with the Zanyings makes them interesting. I don't think that a heavy infantry corps is what Imperial Service does well, but I think you could definitely take one and do well. They're fine. You know what I mean? They're not great. They're not particularly powerful, but they're relatively inexpensive, and you can combine it with some of their fun stuff like the Sujans and the cheaper stuff like the Guangxi and have a cool hard-hitting link.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're into remotes. The big key feature here versus all the other human remotes that you have access to normally is you have access to Garudas and Dakini TAC bots and Yud bots instead of Yao Zaos, which is kind of weird. You get Yud bots instead because I think they're the same.
Yeah, they're the same.
Yeah, I don't know why you don't get Yao Zaos instead. It's just weird you don't get the
For
faction.
flavor.
I guess, yeah. So Protect brought her own because she wasn't expensive enough. She had to make you use her own branded content. It's like Batman putting bats on everything. Like, why
Are
is
there no other engineers or doctors in this one?
No, it's it. You only get so protected. Yeah. When I said she's expensive, when she's more than Dr. Worm, you are paying for it.
Well, that
That
makes
is
sense
what
now,
you get.
because the only
you want an
thing
engineer,
you can put is on the U-bot.
Yeah.
So
There's no Crit Cockrum coming to save you this time, buddy.
Nope.
That's
nope,
it.
Nope.
You do get the full run of Dakinis though, which is cool. So you get the paramedic, all the heavy weapons, which means you can support wear these guys, right? So having a support word HMG. This is something that the OSS did after these guys, but they could do right from the beginning, where you had like a Dakini HMG with mimetism, shock immune, support wear in a core link if you want. You're never getting the core link bonus with them. You can get up to a Harris in the support fire team if you want with a Diva. Yeah, it's no joke having a support word robot with mimetism, so they're pretty cool. And the Garudas, which are your drop troop, because you have no other access to drop troops in this, you get parachutist, combat drop, mimetism. I think that the Garuda is great. This is another great Spitfire like fighter with mimetism. Not as good as the Tiger Soldier with the BS, but you can support wear them, which is pretty cool. So being able to have a support wear to combat jumped or parachutist, remote presence Spitfire come down the side for 25 points, it's not bad.
Do you think they just forgot that they have a Pangalang FTO in this list? Because he can't link with anyone. He's just also here.
I think it's just all the whole faction gets the option because he has the light shotgun. It's his equipment that sticks him in here, not anything else, right? He was in the last one too.
And he's
I know, but he could link in all the other ones. This one he can't.
That's
he's
true.
a repeater still.
And he's
Yeah,
light shotgun, which is a different gun. This is a different gun.
Yeah. He had light shotgun in the other ones. I just mean to say that out of the other two the other two sectorials, he was also there, but his FTO could link with people. And this one he cannot.
If you go to the vanilla faction, you also get the FTO with no,
Just so you can have the shotgun. Yeah.
And that's like in a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm. Get a baggage shotgun.
If it's in the faction, it's in the faction.
Yeah. And then we get skirmishers, and there's 3 skirmisher options here. I love the first one here, the Canron Counter Insurgency group.
I've been waiting to talk about this guy the whole time.
Have you? Okay, well, you lead then. What do you think about him?
Dude, I want 3 of them every I'm taking this sub-faction, I'm taking 3 Canrons. And there's going to be 4 deployment plus 8, 9 models, quote unquote, for someone to deal with.
They're fun. They're really fun. You get hacking, mine laying, and fort observing profiles. The mine layer can be either shock mines or mad traps, which gives you a couple different options. The killer hacker profile is cool too, because it can actually do all kinds of things like with surprise attack, right? Because you're getting surprise attack Trinity off on people. It's got some decent martial arts, stealth, and train total. So in this edition, you get some super jump and some other bonuses as well. He's a bit glassy, but he's not that expensive. What's the profile that stands out to you, Dan?
I either want to go like a killer hacker mine layer or just 3 mine layers.
I think 3 mine layers are legit.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, is that I want to combine it with 2 Ludwans. So then there's all the fake profiles everywhere in HoloMath. So
Take it to the lot of inclusion. You have 17 Holo Echoes on board.
I have 5 I have 5 models with Holo Echoes. I guess you could use Sforza and then but then you have too many points into nothing. I made a list with them, and it was like, how do you go all the way but not all the way? And it's tricky.
I think you should have all 9 of these miniatures be boarding shotgun Sun Tzu. And then also take boarding shotgun Sun Tzu and deploy some of them in your deployment zone.
This is the massive sad part, is in this subsection, there's no one else with forward deployment except ninjas who are min-6 and going to be camouflaged.
Yeah, so there's no one that these guys could pretend to be other than what they are themselves.
So it's obvious it's a lie. Everyone knows it's a lie, but you still have to shell game, and like it'll slow them down enough, hopefully, that you can waste a bunch of their orders if they go first against you.
You can completely clear a midfield like deployables thing though with these, right? You can just shove all of these Holo Echoes into a million mines, or like
I play some wild pair. Okay.
Yeah, cool. I sent some solid light at you. I sent the doctor from Voyager after you. Let's go.
Here's 3 Sun Tzus. There you go.
Robert Picardo shows up and explodes your wild parrot. I like these guys. I think they're cool. The killer hacker being only whip 13 is offset by a surprise attack and stuff like that. I love all projectors, so I'm down for it. I think they're neat.
Yeah, I bought two blisters of them, so I have 4 actual models, and then I got to figure out something for all the Holo Echoes. Well, I guess once they're revealed to be Holo Echoes, I gotta have something beside them.
Well, they come back too, right? They come back every
right. But there'll be obvious lies, so there's no sense putting them as other things, because they can. Can you go back into HoloMask?
No, you go into Holo Projector after that.
I know, but can you go?
No, you can't return to it. Once you're revealed, you're revealed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It's in deployment, period.
Yeah.
It's the killer hacker could, the other guys can't.
You can impersonate, with the killer hacker. You can do that.
And then you'd have impersonating HoloMask or Holo Projectors, because it would extend to them. I think.
I don't know if that's true, but we can look up.
I'm kind of reading it right now.
That's okay. So we've also got Kunai Solutions Ninjas, which are the ninjas for hire. I like these guys.
Worse ninjas.
I like these guys. The Shock Marksman rifle I like. I'm not a big fan of the multi-sniper rifle because these guys have got terrible BS. They're only BS 11.
Yeah.
But the Shock Marksman rifle with hidden deployment, camo, courage, climbing plus, stealth, total train, mimetism -6, and martial arts is a cool piece. I think it's just a neat piece.
No infiltration takes them right off the board, in my opinion.
Well, then because you flip over to having ninjas, ninjas with SMGs. Ninjas with SMGs are legit.
Yeah.
You have got a bunch of tac bow ninja options for the basic ninja. It's funny that you guys still get ninjas in this list because most of the other factions only got the kunai solution. You guys kept the ninjas, the base.
Only
ninja.
One.
Ninjas
you get one. That's right, but they still hire.
Unlike samurai, ninjas are loyal.
That's right, and you get all. That's fair. And you get all the profiles.
That's a historical truth.
So
Warring Kingdoms, the only factions that didn't betray everybody were ninjas.
Were the ninjas because they were being paid.
Paid well.
But yes, I like the ninja profile, but I do think that if you're going to be taking a forward deploy or an infiltration model in this one, the cannon probably outclasses it, just because it's more versatile with the shell game and the Holo Projector, the fact you can clear deployables with them, the fact that they can mine lay and have some decent range loadouts and stuff as well with surprise offsets the mimetism stuff, I think. And they're cheap. just cheap enough that they're great. And the model is awesome.
I want Sun Tzu Flash Pulse to just break some Morat's legs. Walk around the corner, be like, 4-man link, 20.
All right. Well, then tell us your
blind.
list because we're done. That's it. We finished. Tell us about this. I think that the Canrons all pretending to be Sun Tzu would be the greatest thing ever. You have one of
How
the
many Sun
Canrons
Tzu
sit back
models
in
you
the
gotta
deployment
get?
zone. You would have to have 10 Sun Tzu models. So you'd have to have 9 for your Canrons and then an actual Sun Tzu model. And you have one of the Canrons sit back in the deployment zone so that you don't know which of those 4 is the actual Sun Tzu. And then you don't care that you have an open information lieutenant because you just run forward
You have
with
four
all
stuff
these
for
Sun
that.
Tzus. Yeah.
All right, I posted
need
it
more.
in the patrons chat. But group 2 is just what I said it would be, which is Sun Tzu boarding shotgun flashballs with a monitor with his smoke grenade and 4 Guangxi. And that's his team. And
Nice.
then group 1 is a all-star cast of all of the best things, and then their support to be able to go do their job. So I've got a Shen Heavy HMG, Pheasant Killer Hacker. He's mostly there because he's chain command. Bounty Hunter, because he's 12 points and he can link with the other 2. Su Zhan with a Spitfire linked with a motorized Bounty Hunter for 9 points. And then Flashball Spot, double FTO bots because TAC it's too valuable to leave on the table.
Agreed.
And the FTO Pangalang, who could be a Bounty Hunter, but I like the repeater for the Killer Hacker. That way, if you're going second, you can put that next to Sun Tzu. And it has a little shotgun and is also helping that Pheasant who could protect him that way if you're worried about a turn 1 hacking rush.
Every time you say Pheasant, I think of someone just going, step aside, Pheasant, and pushing them out of the way.
Yeah.
I don't know why that pops in my head every single time, but it does.
Everybody move.
Step aside, Pheasant.
Yeah, the turn 1, Celestial Guard Monitor spends his 1 order putting smoke on the Shen or wherever it needs to be. And then Sun Tzu spends 6 remaining orders in that group to walk across the board, boarding shotgun and flash pulsing. And then when he dies, the Pheasant takes over. And the other thing is, after you've done that, like 6-7 orders of Sun Tzu running around just being obnoxious is going to get something happen. Like something will happen with that. Whether it's revealing camo markers or like baiting weapons that are in the middle, like pick your poison, basically. Because his TI makes him resilient to like a bunch of stuff.
Right.
Because like I'm pretty sure EM doesn't work on him.
Nope. It's not lethal.
So he could just run through that kind of stuff. Like the model that I talked about before being the in O12, the girl and her dog.
Or the Team Serious.
Team Serious. This guy is like weirdly good at beating up Team Serious because the dog no longer matters. And so it's just like, yeah, I shoot your dog and now you can't stop me. I walk on top of you and boarding shotgun you. And like, I shoot you with my riot stopper. You die.
Go get him.
And then you go, okay, Sujan, go do your job. Or Shan, go do your job as needed.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they go first and they clear the path and then he runs into their deployment and it's just there. And they know he's your lieutenant. Like they know.
You can't do nothing about it.
And they have to go.
Do you have any chain of command on this list?
Yeah, the Pheasant. He's there.
Oh yeah, there he is. Yeah.
Yep. And so like they're gonna kill him, and you're probably gonna get to determine turn order because you're whip 17 Strategos. And also that means that your Sujan and your Xian can stay off the board and not be revealed until you know exactly what you want. Because they're your main, like, I'm actually gonna win the game models, whereas everybody else is either Wei Bings for button pushing or Sun Tzu for like bait.
Yeah.
And if somehow he lives, you can start cycling Quang Shi into the other group or something. I don't know.
Get this Guangxi moving.
Yeah.
I went completely the other direction.
I bet. Well, Dan posted a list before you did, so you
go
missed
for
out
it.
on
Sorry.
your opportunity.
Yeah, it did.
All right. So I looked at this like SS and I was like, man, that Shanner, awesome. I gotta take him. Or man, he's like all this awesome Swix. Oh, I gotta take this. And I was like, oh wait, there's all I want to take this, but wait, let's just not use any of it and just go into remotes and Canrons and be silly. I went back and forth of what got to keep on putting in things. Basically, this is what it is. It's 3 Canrons. One's a killer hacker, one's the hacker, and one's the boarding shotgun shock mine layer. And then you have 2 Ludwans, So then you have all of the Hollow Echoes. You have 2 Rishis. So then the Ludwans pretend to be Rishis and the Canarans pretend to be whatever, Sunsies. If people know what they're playing against, it doesn't matter what they're pretending to be. They don't even have to pretend to be something else. But I guess it matters because one's a hacker or 2 are hackers and one's not. So if someone's trying to counter hack you, it won't work.
Until they try, and then you reveal that did work, but then didn't because it was fake. You should make them all pretend to be hackers.
That's true, actually. Just double down. Like, they're all killer hackers.
No, just all regular hackers. It's like, I'm going to killer hack you. Okay, well, that's a token, so that didn't do anything.
That's a problem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I am actually also a killer hacker, Trinity.
I have a diva as a lieutenant, just hanging out by himself.
Yeah, as a diva bot.
But as a diva bot. Wait. Could he link?
No. Not with the diva bot.
Not with the Quench. Okay, so never mind. He'll just hang out. He's got a heavy flamethrower. So again, this is kind of like a turn 2 thing. And then I have 3 heavy machine gun total reaction bots. And so not only do you have to deal with 4 deployment plus 8, just everybody standing up everywhere. If you're like, are they real? Can they kill me? Can they not? I don't know. I don't want to give them a free shot, but I don't want to waste shots on hollow projectors. There's also 3 360 like heavy machine guns firing at you that you have to wade through. And then all the rishis that are so it's just like stuff's everywhere standing up, and I don't even know how this is gonna work or how it would feel like or whatever, but it's just like I feel like it's awesome and I want to try it.
I think McMurder kills this list.
Yeah, he does.
But
like by himself.
Are you sure?
So he throws a smoke around the corner, right? But, and then he steps out and he goes, all right, which Rishi gets 1 shot against me? You're the real one.
But the Ludwans also have MSV.
Oh, they do they? So they're going to reveal themselves, and then you lose all of those fakes.
But if I can kill McMurder, it's fine.
Yeah, maybe. And you might kill him.
You might kill him.
You're only getting 1 shot, and he doesn't care about any of the abilities you might have. The HMGs can't shoot him then. Yeah, I mean, I like it because it's a fun gimmick.
I think it has some legs. I don't know if it's great.
The only other one would be if like a guy shoots a pitcher.
Right.
And he's like, all right, I'll wait till your turn. You do something.
That's why I put the killer hacker in.
Yeah. He's only 1 man.
Yeah, I know. He's got a lot of weight to carry. But
and him and his buddy are the only ones that are doing any objectives.
This is true.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. See, I think you go all the way and bring it as a firefight list. Get rid of the killer hacker and the regular hacker. just be like, go ahead, Operation Get to My, and then have all of them pretend to be Davis.
You get a Dave, and you get a Dave,
and be like, all right, your job is to kill my lieutenant, and I have no specialists. Or I'll pretend to be specialists, equally funny, and then make them waste their time trying to kill all your specialists, giant quotations, and score no points. And then it's revealed at the end that you actually didn't have any the whole time.
Look, it can be tweaked to fit a scenario, right? Fit a mission. But I think this is a good second group is another heavy machine gun. You get 3 total, but it's a Davis in the main group with a heavy flamethrower lieutenant. Second group is a heavy machine gun, and then a celestial guard with 3 Quangxi. And so, active turn, you have MSV2 smoke shenanigans from all sides of the board. So if anyone's poking up, they're going to die. And if not, then the Canarans get to walk up and surprise attack monofilament Hugh. So, not bad.
So you got that going for you.
Yeah, I think it could be fun.
It sounds fun. I'm into it.
Anyways, your turn.
I took fire teams.
I think you're going to put a lot of effort into this, and you'll play that list exactly 1 time. And a guy with a chain rifle, like a Galwegian, is going to run forward, and you're going to shoot him with one of them because you don't want to reveal everyone. And he's going to go dog it, and then he walks up and is in chain rifle range, and everybody dies because they all have 1 wound. Like, I think that's how that goes.
My list is so little SWC. It's actually kind of funny. I went and took. Sorry, I'm just uploading this to the chat. patron chat so you guys can see it.
Oh yeah, you're on like a Mac, aren't you?
I am.
It's like Windows Shift S.
I just did. So I've got a fire team, a core fire team with Wooming HMG, a Wooming boarding shotgun, firewall -6, and then 3 Zanyings, 2 with the boarding shotguns and 1 with a breaker combi and triangulated fire sensories, lieutenant. I've got a Harris with a Shen, Sforza, and a bow. So I got that sweet bow rifle and a
You brought a bow?
I took a bow, yeah, because you have to take them for the Law and Order troop. Because otherwise there's nobody in there with the thing. I could take a CSU instead of the bow. And I considered doing that because if I took a CSU instead, I could almost fit Major Luna. But I couldn't quite get Luna to stick. If I take 1 less Quang Shi, I could take Major Luna.
Or just swap out the bow for a bounty hunter or a CSU.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I needed to do both because she's 29 points.
Saying.
So if I put the CSU in instead, you get 3 Quang Shi and a Celestial Guard. You want him because you want that. You want whatchamacallit. You want the smoke for him to shoot through.
Yeah,
which is sweet. And then for that 29 points, you can have Major Luna in the list, but that's massaging at that point, changing things around. Canron, Mind Layer, Celestial Guard Monitor, and 4 Quang Shi in the second group. And that's it. And the Quang Shi are unlinked because you're using your core team on, or you could make them in a Harris, I guess. You could Harris them with the Celestial Guard Monitor and take Major.
I like this list because it has no specialists in it.
It has almost no specialists, yeah.
Who's the specialist?
It doesn't. You're right. Yeah. 0 specialists. You're right. I got none. Well, the Canron isn't he? Oh no, he's Mind Layer. He's got nothing. Yeah, sweet.
I have infinitely
I almost
more.
Never mind. I
specialist
take it
CSU.
back. Dan's is the better list now.
I almost took a specialist CSU. I almost did. You could. If you don't take the breaker combi, then you can have a specialist. You can have 1 specialist CSU. Just
Jesus. All right.
around.
My list is the best list. I don't care.
Everyone's list is the best.
Trust in Owen, remember?
Yeah.
Trust.
Bring that Sun Tzu.
He's
the hero.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's always the hero. Well, there you go. We did it. We've managed to break down. I mean, I like this faction. I like the individual components. I feel like they struggle a bit.
I greatly dislike that all 3 of us brought Celestial Guard Quang Shis. I know why we all did, but it makes it.
But that's what I mean. It telegraphs.
If I was playing this, I'd be like, like
that's what
every
I mean.
game is just these 5 idiots, and then I build a list.
Yeah, you get bored of this list fast because it telegraphs some of its moves. If that makes sense, right? Like you're.
I only brought 3. Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
but you still brought them, right?
Yeah, I mean,
because they're
so
5 point
point
cheap
effective.
orders. Yeah, they're 2 points less than a.
Well, it's like playing Aleph, and you're like, did you bring the net rods?
The net rods, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, you're going
These
to.
do more than net rods. These are way more exciting to play with the net rods.
100%, 100%, because they might explode at some point. They might give death hugs. Well, that was sweet. I mean, it's an aging sectorial. It's the oldest sectorial in Yu Jing. So I'm hoping they get a glow up at some point. I don't think they will anytime soon, but who knows? They're short. I think they're on the short list of like oldest factions now at this point, outside of some of the weird Ariadna stuff. But it looks like all the stuff that's like the immediate reaction, whatever, fast movers are getting this year's big glow up with reinforcements. So we'll see how Invincible Army or Imperial Service does going in the future. How do you feel about them, Dan? Of the sectorials that you are getting ready to play, which one's the one that you're the most excited about?
This one.
Really? Oh, I love that you love underdogs.
It's not even the underdog. It's just like how it builds out. It just feels like it would be more fun to play. Because it's funny because out of the fire teams, you get a core, 2 Harris, and a duo. And my list has 1 Harris. I guess it's a core. It's a 4-man core. And that's it.
You're taking the Quang Shi.
Yeah. And it's like I don't even need to take them as. I don't even know if it's. I guess it's kind of beneficial if you're like running up, or once you annihilate things that are standing up, they can like run up as a squad, and like the double chain rifles are pretty good as suiciding.
I think Chris and Jay at Lords of War might have Quang Shi, and they ship. You should give them a call. Loads of War Games and Hobbies in Oakville. I think I saw a box there when I was there a couple weeks ago, and there's nobody picking through their Infinity stuff right now.
Holy shit. Did you know that you can right click on units in your army list and select different profiles and it'll switch the profile?
Yeah, only on desktop though. But yeah, it's so convenient. You've never done that?
This just blew my mind.
I've told you about this.
Oh, you haven't?
I have. Who else would I have told? I don't have any other Infinity friends.
Except for the ones we have online, our beautiful community of Infinity people. All right, that's it. I'm done. I'm out. I need to go to bed. And I want to thank all of our wonderful patrons who are our internet friends. You're the best. Have a happy Infinity Day. Have a happy Infinity Monday. Wear your patches, your ITS patches on your sweet jean jacket. Get your Infinity vest if you haven't made an Infinity vest yet. That should be like the year 2 or year 3 Infinity thing that you're doing. And yeah, go sign up if you haven't paid yet for Tactical Awareness Summer Siege. We're about, I think, 20 people paid so far. So if you're sitting on the list, you're not confirmed yet, go read the player pack and send through your payments so that we can confirm everybody.
Look at you and your big numbers.
And yeah, I think there's like 30 registered right now, but only like half are actually confirmed. So I just want to make sure that everybody that's coming is actually coming so I can get tables and stuff ready, because the table core is starting to rattle their chains and be like, who is needed? I'm getting ready to blow the giant conch shell like Ron Burgundy and assemble the Channel 5 news team of table people. So that will be coming up 2 months. We're 2 months out. So yeah, the more people are confirmed, the more we can lock in what our actual like assets required are and stuff are. And yeah, we're done. We're done another breakdown. So what should we do after this? Because we're gonna do vanilla Yu Jing. How does it all go together next episode? And then I want to do like another faction. Should we do the faction teardown? Like, how do you beat up Yu Jing and just do them back to back, or should we take a break and do something else? What do you guys think?
Probably do something else. I don't have much to say yet against these guys because I honestly haven't. Like, I talked about it a little bit when we first said that we were going to do Yu Jing, and like, I don't know what these guys do because the few games I played against them, they're almost ubiquitous in the same. Like, if you're playing Imperial Army, you're playing this one list of Shang-Chi's, and it's like, can you fight heavy infantry? Then yes, you're fine. And then
Dan to start screwing around.
Smoke HMG. Smoke HMG. Can you beat
we
Smoke
Dan
HMG?
to start playing games. Dan will start playing games, and we'll have more opinions on that for the takedown. That's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
And I made you a list that doesn't use Guangxi. For whatever reason, the app wouldn't let me make it into 2 order groups, but just pick 5 and put them in the other group. It's 7 Swick and 298 points.
Neat. All right.
Oh yeah, I also figured out that 10 Swick is the max you can do by bringing like 5 snipers.
And put things in there.
Why does this have a red X, Owen? This list isn't legal.
Because there's 15 guys in one group because it wouldn't let me make a second group. So just pick 5 and put them
I was looking at
the
the 7 SWC, but then I saw you had a +1.
Yeah. No, it's the triple Harris of Dakini snipers as my backline.
It's core Harris. Yeah, gotcha. All support word. Actually, you only support word 1, but I see what you're saying.
Also, I didn't bring anyone to support wear, but
I saw the Pang Lang. Sorry, I thought it was, but you took the TR one, which is weird.
I didn't have a Swick. You could drop the regular hacker who's in the Celestial Guards to be him, but I wanted the Celestial Guards to actually have 1 extra Celestial Guard. I don't know how I gained 1. Switch out the Celestial Guard.
Anyway,
no, I don't. Never mind.
Well, guys, we'll talk to you again next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Night, everybody. Oh man.